we go. All right, I am live. Let's do this.
Likewise.
There we go. Burl, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you, dude.
All right. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How you doing, Laughables? You made it. HD. Oh, snap. Relations showed up today. All right. Let's kill the music. Let's go. All right. Here, I'll get the cams going here. Okay.
Blap, what's up, dude? How are you? I'm doing all right, man. How have you been?
Elemento.
Good, dude. Good. I hope you're well. We got a good live stream today.
All right. There he is. Ashes of Relation. Dr. Burns himself.
Oh, there we go.
Go. Captain Snacks, how you doing? Welcome on in. Maz, let's go. Oni, the people are here. Viral. All right. Let's see. So, let's go ahead and get the introductions out the way. Today is another episode of The Voices of Vera featuring you, the Voices of Vera, myself, Nice Gaming, and Is There No One Else? But today, we have a very, very special guest, and that is Ashes of Relation, Dr. Burns himself. Let's go ahead and get the pleasantries out the way. I'll let you introduce yourself, talk about your channel, all that good stuff, and do not feel shy to promote your channel. This guy, I'm not even gonna let you get a chance to talk because I want to talk so much about you. This guy does amazing, amazing content, amazing editing, and has found his way in the Ashes of Creation content creator space, and we are so happy to have him, and we're glad you're joining us on the Voices of Vera. For those of you that do not know, Ashes of Relation has been here since I want to say our first couple of episodes, man. Like since the beginning, like really, really awesome. So this is very big.
Yeah. I wanted to say I've spent like the last 4 hours like working around the house, and I've been trying to listen to the part because I remember this happening. I remember you posting on one of our podcasts, and I can't remember what episode, but you're like, I think I'm going to do content creation for this game. And yeah. we're like, hell yeah, man. Like you should absolutely do it. And look at him now, just taking off. It's freaking awesome. So.
Well, you guys have inspired me. I mean, I was watching my intro video and I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm specifically mentioned both of you guys. And I did, because listening to your YouTube videos, but then also this podcast, bro, every Tuesday is awesome. It's been so fun to listen to, and you're so positive, interactive with the chat, and have fantastic takes. So it's I draw inspiration for my videos from this podcast especially, and then from the content you guys make, so I appreciate it.
Wow, that's awesome. That made my day right there. Appreciate that.
I'm really here to talk about polygamy, slavery,
we've covered all this stuff already.
I was just listening to those this morning, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's good times.
Oh, that's funny.
The slavery one is
Yeah,
just.
oh, that was class. I almost made a video on it. Almost.
Never too late. Never too late.
True.
Viral says Ash's relation is quiet on stream. Is he quiet for anybody else? I guess regardless.
Yeah, let me know.
You guys let us know.
Is this better? Is this too loud? Sorry.
Oh,
No,
it's not too loud. It's better though. It's definitely better already on my end.
All right.
You could go a little bit louder, I think, actually.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah,
Be
you're
careful what
nowhere
you
near
ask
close.
for.
There
Be
it
careful
is.
what you ask for.
There we go.
Okay, someone say he's a bit quiet. That should have fixed it. Perfect. If anyone's still saying, okay, perfect. Viral said, there you go. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody that's joined us on both platforms. Just a heads up, especially for anyone that's watching this at a later date, we have a lot of topics to go through. I'll do my best to make sure I timestamp everything either after the episode or the next morning. I usually have time to. But we have a lot of great topics. And before we get into that, just want to make sure you guys know, no matter which platform you're watching us on, Is There No One Else and Ashes of Relation, of course, are tagged in the title of this on YouTube. Make sure you get their channels a subscribe. A lot of great content, of course. And yeah, welcome. Yes, thank you for catching it live. We appreciate you guys being here. This one's very special. We don't have guests very often. I want to say this is only our third. Yeah, third guest. Guest.
Bro, I'm in good company. You've had Q and Vladis. Like,
yes.
Fourth then.
I am
Sawman, yeah,
And
fourth.
Sawman,
Sawman.
fourth.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Company.
And we're pretty approachable. Just let us know, like, hey, I would like to be on the show. Easy. There's not too many people. I don't think there's anybody who would say no to. Obviously, literally not anybody. Just like, hey, I saw you one time. Let me get on there. But obviously in the natural flow of things. But we appreciate you being here. I would like to go ahead and Bree, thank you for subscribing. Chi Bree. Shout out to the tavern. Shout out to the tavern.
Oh, Chibi.
Chibi, Team Yellow forever. So we have like I've said 4 times already, we have a lot of fun topics to get to. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up on my end. So the one I remember what the first topic I want to get into, but here, let me still pull it up. We have it in the chat that we just made hastily before stream. What I'm going to do is bring up this image, and I want to talk about this. Here, let me put this in a new window. Hold on, you guys. I promise I'm a professional streamer. Just let me
Which one?
the very first image with his thumbnail.
Did I get quiet again?
You sound about the same.
Is this?
You do sound quieter, yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reason on my mic, it's
Whoa, don't yell at us. I thought we were having a civil conversation.
sorry.
Sheesh.
Sorry. Okay, should be better now.
Okay, yeah. Chat said you did get temporary quiet. Okay,
yeah,
we weren't
weird.
crazy.
We'll save the yelling
Okay.
for later.
Yeah, we got a lot of topics worth yelling about. Save it for then, man.
Good.
So I have the image. Solomon, welcome on in. So I have the image brought up on my stream. If you guys, and I would say out of all of your videos I've watched, this one was the most, it was one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites, and I think it was and you remind me when I first started Ashes of Creation content. You find like those niche subjects, not the flavor of the month or just going over the recent live stream. You find like a niche subject that not a lot of people are talking about, and you do a good job covering it. This video, for those of you who and Burns, actually, if you want to paste that into chat, if you could pull that link up on your phone, paste it in chat. This video was amazing, and I think it performed amazing. If you guys are not aware, click on Ashes. If you want to keep watching the podcast, if you guys want to tolerate us for whatever reason,
watch it later.
Fine. But put this in your watch later, or at least just screenshot this image that I have here on screen and go looking for this video later.
Yeah, I can share it. Give me a sec.
This was an amazing video in regards to botting and RMT, and this is something that we've talked about on the podcast before. This is something that's been a subject of, I think, every MMO community, every MMO out there. It's always something that people try to claim to fix. It's something that Ashes of Creation themselves have said, "Hey, we got ways." Not saying, "Hey, it's impossible, it's not going to happen," but they have taken measures to try to limit botting. You've seen this with like the hunting certificate system and stuff like that. Little things here and there. And there's the link there if you guys want to add that to your watch later. But you said something that I wanted to talk on, and maybe I'd rather have you talk on it. Perhaps.
Sure.
The honeypot part. That is something I'm sure it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's a common thing. It's something that I've conceptually never heard of. It's something that I was listening to and I was like, oh wow, that is so smart. That is so cool. I've never heard a company, try a tactic like this. And so I was listening, I was like, man, that is freaking genius. I love that. And I would like for you to discuss that, and then afterwards we'll get Elsa's feedback on that and I'll talk on it. But yeah, just kind of take the stage.
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of this, the botting stuff, comes from their ability to handle. Oh man, data. I don't know why my mic is doing this. This is fascinating. Anyways, okay. So from their ability to tackle data management. So, dude, else I might have to drop out of the VOD Ninja thing because I think this is controlling my audio.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah. Anybody is yeah. See, his sound just went out. So here, let's 1 second, chat. We having some audio issues. We hear you now, but yeah, I think that makes sense on what's causing the issue.
Okay. How is this?
This is
Yeah,
lovely.
You're fluctuating, but yeah, you at the end was good. Okay.
Okay. How's this now?
That's good.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, got it fixed. Cool. So yeah, with the whole botting thing and the honeypot. So Intrepid from day one has been planning for this, and so baked into their programming, they have functions where they can essentially track every dollar. They have certain filters that they can do with the money that people get. So certain flags will be set off. If someone all of a sudden gets like 5 million gold, boom, that sets off a flag. Or they're going to be able to track trades too, player trades, and so they will find people who are selling gold. And so what they'll do is, instead of, this is my guess based on a few different things, and I talk about it in the video, that they're going to allow some gold sellers to exist, and they're just going to ban the people who buy from those gold sellers. So the people are like, oh, hey, this is so cool. I'll go on G2G or whatever gold selling website there is, and I'll buy, and then hey, make the trade, get their in-game gold, and then boom, account is perma-banned. And so that in essence is the honeypot system that I'm almost positive Intrepid is working on.
I love it. The eye and I love how they have this system in theory of like flagging transactions. It's the same thing like IRL you'll see with the IRS, except in this scenario, the I in IRS is probably standing for Intrepid. So like I just love that conceptually as setting a trap for the player, because oftentimes you're like, it's like, okay, do you want to and excuse the metaphor here, but like, do you want to arrest a couple of drug addicts on the street you caught with marijuana or whatever, or do you want to get the dealer and get it at the source? It's kind of like one of those.
Yeah.
No, else, what are your thoughts on it?
Absolutely, and it's great because you brought up a few things. I'm gonna start at the beginning, and I'm not gonna spoil everything for you guys, because you should definitely go watch the video. It's very well put together. The entire flow of everything made a ton of sense, and it was cool because like your first introductory cartoon that you post is something that Nice and I have talked about on this podcast. Like, yeah, the fact that we're gonna have open world PVX environment. If we see botters, we can take them out from this level. And and so that's a great point. And then you expounded on that and you went further in detail. And for those of you guys that don't watch like a ton of YouTube MMO stuff, Asmongold posted a video like 1 or 2 weeks ago of this alleged bot farm for World of Warcraft, and it had like 27 different monitors up, and there was like 20 to 30 accounts on each monitor farming resources in World of Warcraft. And basically, long story short, like World of Warcraft has a huge issue with botting. They don't really, like, the complaint is they don't do a whole lot about it. Well, what are other MMOs going to do about it? And yeah, Ash's relations point was, yeah, if you take out a bot account, like in this instance, like if you take one of their bot accounts, they have another 400 up and running and running around, and it's just like whack-a-mole. And it's like, okay, well, instead of going after all these things you can build for free, because it's not hard to create a farming bot that could just go farm resources at like level 10 or like a low level or whatever, but you can go after the people that have a ton of time and a ton of hours invested, way more than a bot account would, and you could deter them from potentially losing 30, 40, 100, 200, 1,000 hours worth of work on an account. Because at some point, you get to that point with your account where you're like, you know what? It's not worth it. Like, I no, thank you. You know, I don't want to lose my account. I'm not going to do anything shady or nefarious. This is way too valuable for me right now. And it was a great point, and I thought it was really well iterated.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you put the fear of God into people, so they don't feel like they feel so unsafe buying gold, it removes the demand for it. And so then the supply won't even matter, because if there's no demand, then the people, because these gold sellers, they have to make a return on their investment. They have all their overhead that they have to do, and they have to, the sub fees and everything. Narc reacted to this video too, and he didn't really understand the point that I was trying to make with, it's so common for botters to use sub fees for other regions, which are cheaper because they're quote unquote harmonized pricing.
Yes.
But these people put so much money into this venture. It's a business for them. Ruining the game is a business for them. And if they're not making a return on their investment because no one's buying their gold, then they'll stop doing it. And that solves botting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great point there.
And that's an issue that ESO actually had 2 or 3 months ago. They found,
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. So there was a loophole with their crown system to where if you bought through a different country, you could get them for a fraction of the cost cheaper. And so you had crown sellers that were buying through this country via VPN, getting a ton of crowns, and then relaying that for in-game gold. And I don't know if they closed it. I haven't followed afterwards. They said it's fixed. I don't know if it is or not. I've heard that it isn't, but regardless, like, they attempted to fix it or put a facade up that they did. And it's interesting because I have the point about player dynamics in this situation and why I think this type of thing will work is one of my good friends on Xbox, he was really, really big into playing the market, the ESO market. And he actually was like an ESO billionaire, one of the first people on Xbox that like he had billions and billions of gold. He had stacks upon stacks of materials. Like, he was basically buying and flipping. The vast majority of his gameplay was just buying and flipping materials. That's what he got a lot of fun out of doing. And I told him, and like at this point, like you hear stuff, and I was like, hey man, like, did you know that the amount of gold you have is worth like $20,000? Did you know that? And he's like, yeah, he's like, actually, I do know that. And I was like, has it crossed your mind to potentially sell some of this? And he goes, it's not worth it for me. He goes, I've put so many hours into this account. I've spent so much time collecting this stuff. He goes, if I tried to sell a few million to make a few $100 and my account got banned, he's like, no, thank you. He's like, I'm not selling anything. This is just what I have. And I'm happy with it. I'm not risking anything. And I think that plays exactly into the point you were making in your video.
Yeah, well said. I think the concept, like Burns was alluding to, just the concept or the fear of that being a thing is enough. Just as a deterrent. And the thing is, and it's gonna suck for whoever it happens to, and maybe it won't suck because they're going against TOS, but it's gonna suck for the people that get made an example out of. But we need those complaints. We
Yes.
need someone to get banned and go whine to Reddit how they got banned, so that other people see that, and then now it's like, oh well, I don't want to risk my account, especially with like some of us Alpha 2 backers, Alpha 1 backers, Kickstarters, Phoenix Initiative. I don't care what your status is, especially right now, especially as someone that's going into Alpha 2. There's no way you like need gold that bad in Ashes of Creation that you spent $250 minimum to play in Alpha 2 and forward, and you're going to risk your account.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and this is not me saying anybody that's ever RMT'd. I'm not saying I'm the most innocent person out there. I'm not saying everybody in chat's innocent and all of us are just holier than thou. But what I'm saying is there's no way, especially in this game, and especially for people that has invested and waited for a good MMO this long, that they would risk that, especially once Intrepid starts making examples out of. And I think Steven has spoke about that before. It's like most of these people, they give them a slap on the wrist. Oh, you're banned for a week. You're banned for a month. Blah, blah, blah. You know, but yeah.
It's going to have to be a death sentence. It's going to have to be something super severe. And yeah, they're going to have to make examples out of people. But honestly, I hope it's not just making an example. I hope that's what the policy is moving forward for the whole life of the game.
Yeah. And like you said, as like a business for bot accounts, you have a cost benefit analysis of what's profitable and what isn't profitable. Well, how cheap is it to make a new account and get it to level 10? How many hours does it take? Like hypothetically, right? A hypothetical level 10 to go farm this area and then go run around. And when you start factoring the costs of, man, every time I go try to farm over here, I got people in this area that are killing me nonstop and taking my stuff. And then I'm not able to sell it to anybody because nobody wants to buy over here. And then like, they don't want to do this. Like, it's not worth it for me to try and farm on this account. I'll just go to World of Warcraft or I'll go to another game because it's the profit margin is way better for me to bot over here than to bot in this game.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like you guys said, it's a business at the end of the day, and there's cost and time that goes into all of this. So yeah. First off, would like to thank everyone for tuning in. All of you, we couldn't do this without you. You're the voices of Vera. We really appreciate you. If you're just now tuning in, obviously we have a special guest today, Ashes of Relation. And we just got through talking about botting. Once again, make sure you check out his video in full. Highly recommend. Amazing content, animation, all that good stuff. Definitely check out his videos. We will now move on to the next subject.
So, real quick, nice, if that's all right. Laughables. He was saying in chat, it's like police with a drug network, and
Exactly.
But it's like futuristic police because they can follow the dollar, right? They can follow. It's like if the Federal Reserve actually released their electronic Fed coin and they could follow where every dollar went, which would be terrible. But anyways, it has the technology there to be so impactful in this. I almost made the drug reference, the war on drugs in my video. I talk about drugs enough in my video, so in my videos. So I was like, no, I'll hold off on that one.
And those aren't even Ashes of Creation videos. You just be talking about it. Yeah. But yeah, somebody said scalpers too. Yeah. Like it's gonna be an interesting concept, and I don't know. I just hope that it's legendary. Someone actually, before we move on to the next subject, someone actually a while ago said it would be kind of funny for them to like blast that person on the server, like put it in like a zone chat or a message appears across the screen. So and so just got banned for botting, or you put their name on a wall of shame or something like that, and it's like a permanent ban.
I swear Steven talks about that. I tried to find it. Dude, I tried to find it, and they were talking about like hiding, or hanging the character on like some gallows or something like that. I couldn't find the clip though.
Holy crap. What if you're banned and you're actually still allowed to log into your character? You just get an email notification. Maybe you don't even get an email notification. You log into your character. You can't press pause to access your inventory. You can't trade. And you log in, your character's just in this gallows at the town square. Oh my gosh. And you can other players can buy tomatoes, and the taxes from that tomatoes goes into the node, and you can just sit there and just pummel them with tomato. Oh my goodness, that's glorious. Who's all for that idea?
Yes,
I like it. I actually have a question for you, Burns. I figured it'd be best if you answered it.
Yeah, hit me.
We have a quote here from, or a message from Benjamin White. He says, "Does clamping down on this, making it riskier, not then make the cost of gold in the game higher, therefore make it more attractive to gold sellers?"
So I mean, it's an economy with the training wheels off, right? It's not like other MMOs where the devs set the prices of things and you're interacting with like a user interface set by the devs with all the prices augmented artificially. This is a player-run economy. So yeah, I mean, gold at some point could be really valuable. It depends on how many gold faucets and sinks that they have. But yeah, I mean, it would be really enticing, but it just has to not be worth the botter's time in order for them to not do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would come down to also just the player and the amount of hours they have invested in their account. Like how valuable is your time? Is it worth spending $20 on gold when you lose 100 hours worth of investment into an account?
That's so
It'd be
painful.
pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's the supply and demand, but you also raise the risk with that at the same time. So it's okay. Like, yes, it's going to make the opportunity for when they do sell the gold. Yes, it's going to be a higher gold to US dollar ratio. Yes, that would be the effect. But also the risk is higher. It's like, oh my gosh, why do we keep talking about drugs? I'll make another drug reference. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try to censor myself so the algorithm don't automatically demonetize me again. But it's like, okay, you can sell marijuana a lot more frequently. It's gonna be a little bit less money, or you can just do one drop off of the white stuff, and you're set for a couple of months. So,
Powdered sugar,
and that's the way and that's how I look at it. It's like there's more risk though with one than the other, right? But you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Totamo says something here. He says, I'm not sure if you guys ever played Arcade. That's funny. I just tweeted yesterday that I want to start playing that again. But he says, I'm not sure if you guys played Arcade, but there was a system where players who were going to jail would have to defend themselves in a jury in a world chat. That was some really good content. Hope to have something similar in AOC. I heard about that before. I haven't seen a video or something of it actually in play. Like, I haven't actually looked into it that hard, but someone's told me that before. Fritz says, nice. I changed my mind. I'm jumping into game and alpha. This game looks amazing with amazing devs. Yes, Fritz, thank you so much. Welcome to the cult. Yes, we got another one. Everyone in chat. I need everyone in chat to say another one. Another one. One of us. Type one of us.
One of us.
Yes, dude. These devs are awesome.
How many? Okay. So, I'm not speaking for the audience or anything, but nice. How many of our friends purchased a key this last weekend? Was it 3, 4?
I want to say about 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are. We're going to have quite a few people for Alpha 2. It's going to be a fun time. Is all I'm trying to say.
What number do you guys think it's at overall right now? Because it was 100,000, a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And what's it at?
I think we're going to be at 2. I think it's going to be 2.
200,000. That sounds about right. That January announcement definitely would have ramped things up. The FOMO would have got even higher when they well, I think there's 2 stages, right? There's packs are going to end soon. You either get it now or you don't. And then there was the quarter announcement. So between those 2 things, I'm sure they've seen escalation in profits or like keys being sold. So yeah.
Bro, my guess is like 300.
Really?
I think we're at 300K. Yeah.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Because interest of the game has only increased since then. But I mean, hey, maybe we could have
our DLCs might be funded already. All right, so let's move to the next subject. This one I'll have an image for. But chat, I want you guys to really provide your feedback, and maybe we'll pick a couple of you guys' comments to elaborate on. But here's a subject that I let you guys to provide your thoughts on. Death penalties, even in PvE, as you guys know. Do you think they will deter a casual player base from like playing like solo or just like with one other buddy, like in a duo, in short, do you think that death penalties and Ashes of Creation will lead into more zerging? Think about it. So when you die, you have all these combat efficacy drops. Well, you lose effectiveness, and you got your ash pal, et cetera, et cetera. You're a little bit less effective. You got that little XP debt. Think about it just in that frame of mind.
Sure.
Do you think because there's so much risk to dying in Ashes of Creation that people will then be more incentivized to zerg more? Are you going to see people kind of approach this like WoW hardcore, where they're like, I can't risk dying, I don't feel like going to grind off some mobs, or losing this progress on my character, or having all these negatives? I don't want to risk dying. Do you think this is going to lead to Ashes of Creation being among one of the most zergy MMOs? I posted a video that a lot of you guys probably saw. I posted it, I think that was yesterday.
Solid
About
video. Loved it.
Zergs. Thank you so much. And actually, a lot of the topics of discussion are going to come from comments from that video. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, chat, what do you guys think? Do you think because of death penalties in Ashes of Creation that we're going to see a lot more Zergs? And how do you feel about a death penalty? And then we're not talking about corruption. We're not talking about PvP. We're talking like just in general. You're just going to die to, you're going to get zerged down by 2 rats in the middle of a field, and you don't know how to play the game, and you die, and so now you're in XP debt. How do you feel about that, chat? How do you think that's going to affect the player base decision making?
Go ahead, Burns.
I think Snacks. Oh, sorry. What was that?
I say go ahead. You first.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Captain Snacks says he doesn't think so. He plays hardcore WoW. Tended to say solo because he could control his play. Yeah, and he could control who he aggroes too. I mean, if I'm playing, I'm probably not going to want to play with Steven because he aggroes anything and everything in every live stream. But I think, backing up just a little bit, talking about death penalties, I like some type of penalty. They call it experience debt, and that you have to work it off and whatever. But I like that there is some consequence for death as opposed to no consequence. Because having some stake in things you actually care about. Playing, I make this analogy a lot, but playing poker without money versus like with a $50 buy-in, that's a significant. You actually care about it. You play. The stakes are so much higher. Yeah, and you remember that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in favor of a death penalty, and it sounds like you guys are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just started. We're going to talk about this later, but I just started playing Elden Ring again this last weekend, and they have co-op mode, and you can play with other people and that to help defeat bosses or difficult things. But at the cost of that, you can then get invaded, and it seems like a pretty fair mechanic. But they have created mods that allow you to play the game without getting invaded on PC, and and it is super interesting because it's there's no more, they eliminated the risk. And I was looking at it and I was like, it's just really weird. It's taking away the aspect of what Elden Ring is. And you look at Elden Ring when it first came out. I mean, it won Game of the Year for a reason. A bunch of people figured out that they like risk versus reward in video games, and they like the aspect. Like the first thing they do when you walk into that game is they have the tree sentinel out there. They got a big friggin' boss, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fight this, and you get one pieced, and you're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna die a lot in this game. And I like the idea of experience that. I do also agree with Nice's point of view that I think it will promote people working in groups together. It's the same thing that we saw in ESO and Imperial City when it first came out. People couldn't kill bosses solo or in a duo, so they'd run in 10 to 20 man groups to try and complete the content. I think you're going to see that quite a bit, and I think you're going to see groups go out and be like, hey, there's a bunch of people over here. Let's go kill them. So
yes. Yeah, I'm of the mindset that it can and perhaps will lead to zerging. I think it's a good thing. I'm kind of with what Sawman UK here just said, where he said they need harder overland in MMOs. Yes, I miss open world content mattering and having some difficulty, man.
I agree.
I love it. I love when there's a challenge just for exploring. You don't got to go into a dungeon hard mode to be challenged or and have risk being involved. I mean, come on, it causes people to hedge their bets, to use that loosely. Like, you're going to want to minimize risk, and then you know that if you bring more people, you have less risk. And the funny thing is, like I said before we got into this topic, this is not just for PvP. This is just like, you want to go mine some ore at one of your favorite spots. Well, maybe you bring a buddy, because one, you don't want to get ganked by PvP, or maybe you just happen to run across Tumok on a stroll through the woods, and now you're just SOL. So yeah, let's catch up with the voices of Vera, see what they got to say. Mark asks, is XP loss in PvE only, or do you lose XP from PvP death? Both. And with the corruption system, that's a whole nother thing, but there's more death penalties with that. But yeah, you lose anytime you die, anytime you become a pile of ash, then yeah.
Although not anytime, right? Because there are certain things like arena, caravans, castle sieges.
Yep.
Those don't have death penalties, but does Node Siege? I can't remember.
Node Siege, I'm not
positive.
I would think that it doesn't, but I also don't remember.
Yeah.
I would think
because Node Sieges
question.
aren't instanced, and I see them having a hard time instancing them. They might in the future, but who knows? And so, yeah, I wonder how they do that. But anyways, there are some instances where you don't get penalized.
Yeah. Tend to stay solo so you can control your play. Yeah. And I still don't know how that's gonna work, Captain Snacks, which we were talking about earlier with how hardcore WoW. I don't know this. Maybe you guys in chat can find out for me via the wiki, or Burns, maybe you know, or else you know. If you're in a group with someone that attacks a non-flagged player, is that corruption shared between the party, or is that just on that player? I actually never thought about that. Does anyone in chat know?
I'm pretty sure you have to participate in healing or doing damage to the person for you to be flagged also.
My guess is buffing too, because there'd be a lot of exploits otherwise.
Yep. I'm almost certain, like, if you're participating in helping out your ally, you're also flagged for combat. So
okay.
Yeah.
See, that's what I assume. I just don't remember reading anything specific on it, or like as far as that specific situation. I could be wrong.
I've heard Steven talk about it, like if you're healing someone who's attacking an unflagged player, that you then are gonna participate in that corruption as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Fox says players will have to choose their battles. Death penalty. I was answering his question. Casuals running around together. Yeah. DA, how you doing, buddy? DA says no, but you should get XP debt from PvP, or let us build up a buffer filling your bar up. Nothing feels worse than progging a raid and having stats dampened from learning the boss. Ah, that's a good take. That's an interesting take. You should not get XP debt from PvP, or let us build up a buffer filling the bar up. Nothing feels worse than progging a raid and having stats dampened from just learning the boss. So I'm gonna be devil's advocate for the hell of it. And else I'd like to get your take, and Burns, of course, you too. Do you feel that just progging the boss, like you guys see a new dungeon, or maybe you're just new to the game and you're learning the content, and like, oh wow, I didn't know that boss was good. I didn't know he had an enrage mode. He wiped us all, but now we know that. And then you get past that enrage phase. Well, guess what? Now you realize, okay, now if you DPS him too fast, he explodes and everyone in the area wipes. And you got this constant trial and errors. We've all played end-game trials or raids where there's just certain mechanics you got to learn. It's not as simple as like, oh, let's do enough DPS. You know, it has some sort of mechanic, or some AoE you got to dodge roll or block at the right time, et cetera, or heal through this certain mechanic. Should there be a buffer like DA is alluding to? Or should you just keep taking that combat efficacy loss? Like, you have to get to that, like, you just trial and error. Like, you guys failed, you just leave the dungeon, go grind your XP back up and try again later. Should it be that difficult, or is that doing too much? Barnes, let's hear your response to that.
So, I mean, the broader concept of them incorporating mechanics with bosses to combat zerging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're gonna have some. They've talked about them. There are a few examples they've had, and I'm sure they can get creative. I like that one where if you do it too quick, then he blows up. And I want them to be unpredictable. I would like multiple mechanics in there to make the engagement unpredictable. One thing though, going back real quick to just Zergs forming generally, yeah, that this is going to be a natural inclination of the players because they want to get through the content as quickly as possible.
Yep.
But I think over time, people are going to want to start hedging their groups down. It's like, hey, let's go play a pickup game of, 3v3 basketball. And I've got a team of 16 people right now. Well, only 3 can be on the court at a time. And so there's only so much loot that drops from those bosses. And if you've got, 1 million people with you zerging that boss or that dungeon or whatever, your chances of getting that loot are that much less. So I could see initially, yeah, everyone zergs, but then people start trimming back and are very choosy on things. But mechanics for bosses, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be in there, and I hope they're complicated.
Okay.
What do you think, Els? No, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, so are you okay with the death penalty occurring, like, while you're fighting this boss, for the most part?
Oh yeah, for sure, big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it comes down to how much the penalty is, which is obviously a cop out, but like I have been playing Elden Ring, and it's almost a slap in the face. Like, you get killed by the boss, and now you're like, okay, not only do you die, and not only are you humiliated, you lose experience debt. You also lose this. We're going to take this away from you. And you're like, really? Like, I already got embarrassed. Like, this boss just spanked me, and now you're going to take stuff away from me too. But yeah, it just, I'm fine with it. But the last thing I would like to see is a potential issue where you wipe to a boss, and then it's like an hour worth of grinding to get that back, as a hypothetical example. Like, I feel like that would be a very bad mechanic. Like, yeah, you die to the boss, you should face something, but there is a point, in my opinion, where that could go too far. And Benjamin here actually just commented while we're talking, and he said, what about scaling forgiveness? Essentially, the first couple of deaths, absolutely fine, but thereafter, each death has a greater cost associated with it. That'd be my first thought. I also thought about scaling forgiveness based on the amount of people that are fighting the boss. So if you're fighting with more people, it's supposed to be easier for you to do. If you wipe on it, maybe you get, in that sort of situation, maybe you get penalized more because...
Yeah.
That's interesting. A good anti-Zerg mechanic.
Yeah. You could do it proximity based. Like, you died at the same spot multiple times. So, like, okay, obviously you're trying to, keep running and then trying to accomplish the same task. So we'll at least punish you because you're at least trying the same thing. Don't want to kick you while you're down kind of mentality. It's possible. Yeah.
I like the idea of scaling forgiveness. Sounds cool.
That's a really cool concept. And DA said something. Oh yeah. And I said corrupted earlier. I meant just flag purple. I'm sorry. But I was wondering if, like, your teammate, like, kills someone, like, not just like flag up against them. If your teammate kills someone, but yeah, I guess if you heal them, then obviously you'll just be purple for participating in that. But DA said something. He said, making you an easier target to kill. So basically, you suffering and losing at that boss makes you an easier target to kill, and so it could feel bad because it just keeps making everything difficult, right? And you're already down. But Viral said something here. He said, if you fail too many times at a boss, you become weaker, allowing another group to come in. And see, I think that's what the goal should be. Like, another group comes in, like, you guys have failed. Like, maybe you cleared out all the sub bosses to get to that level, and then some other group that hasn't gone through any deaths, any combat effectiveness losses, they come in behind you and like, oh, you guys are struggling. Yeah, we'll take that from you. We'll wipe your group and we'll take that boss from you. And yeah, we're still at 100% effectiveness. That's gonna be a feels bad, man. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds messed up. Do I like the conflict and annoyance and frustration that's going to cause? Yes. I think Steven wants to see the world burn too, so I think he agrees, and I think that's what he wants. Like, I think that's what they want, man. I think that's what they want, and I'm not saying it's my preferred system. That's not what I'm preaching, but does it feed back into some other systems or ideologies that Ashes seems to be trying to put in place?
Yep.
Yeah. Does it seem like it's tough for the sake of being tough? Maybe it's doing a little too much. I agree. But I mean, I'm kind of walking the fence on this one, but I get it. I get it. You keep wiping on the boss. Maybe you shouldn't get that. This is literally the everyone gets a trophy mentality at work. Like it literally is, huh? As I'm saying it, I just thought about that. But yeah, you're just gonna get SOL. You're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to learn your lesson and learn that boss another time.
But
And
also that stops people from just hanging out and sitting on it too. Like
Yes.
if
Fail
you
just
keep
said that. I
wiping,
love it.
oh, yeah,
Yes.
love it.
Exactly both your guys' points, and like all three of us are going to agree with each other here, but I'm gonna expound on it a little bit more. If we look at Steven's background in general, like, and we look at their charitable live stream in November where they played Pathfinder, and it's got D&D roots. Baldur's Gate 3 has D&D roots. He's talked about it on his podcast where he's like, hey, we don't have to go into this, but it was in the DPS meter discussion. And the DPS meter discussion, he goes, I want people to encounter a boss for the first time without knowing what it is, without knowing what its mechanics are. You enjoy the encounter, win or lose. And if you wipe, you have to go back and you have to figure out how you're going to beat this boss, how you're going to do these things. And putting experience debt on a death, it's valuing your life. It's putting value on your life and in game. And so, yeah, if you don't want to experience that, you're going to have to go and strategize like, okay, well, how are we going to get past this mechanic? How are we going to do this? And so you're assigning more value and care into each specific run. And when you start doing those things, it makes those runs matter more. Those dungeon runs, not, running, but it's super interesting because like in Baldur's Gate 3, when I encounter a boss, I don't know what the mechanics are. And I'm just like, oh, crap. Like, and sometimes you have to go back and respec characters and change things up and go back with a different layout and attack specific people first, use the room dynamics better. And I think because of that background of his, we're going to see a lot of that, like room dynamics and different types of things where he's incorporating specific archetypes to have specific roles in order to conquer specific bosses.
Dude, that's such compelling gameplay when you have to, okay, we just got wiped. That we did terribly. Let's go back, dude. Let's watch our VODs. Let's talk about builds.
Yeah.
Let's help each other all get
YouTube
better.
Guide.
let's watch. I know this guy. His name is there no one else or his friend Nice. We'll watch their stuff and we will learn how to do this. Or maybe your healer sucks and there's a balding physician who makes videos in his spare time. We can watch some of those videos, but like you are invested in your friends' builds. You're like, hey, what can we do together to improve the group? Because clearly the group that we just went up against or the mob we went up against, we were unequipped for. And it's compelling gameplay. It's fun to be able to tackle a difficult challenge. And because it's difficult, when you actually do it, you value that experience afterwards. And it's, it's rare. Not everyone can do that. And it feels good accomplishing something that's hard that not everyone can do.
Yep, I agree.
Indeed. Earlier DA had said, yeah, but if my guild has enough for 3 to 4 raid groups, you'll be waiting in line. And see, like, and that's the thing. I don't know if I got this as a subject for later, but like, honestly, I discussed this in my video, but like, that's going to cause people to fight over resources. Laughables became a channel member. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that. Like that's going to lead to that conflict, like fighting over scarcity and resources. Like it just feels good, man. And yeah, alluding to that, you just can't camp a boss. I think this is one of those indirect results, or maybe it was the intended result, but it prevents camping a boss. You fail too many times, get out of line.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Once again, thank you to everyone that's here. Really appreciate you guys. You are the voices of Vera. Couldn't do this without you. Vladis just came in the chat. If you guys aren't subscribed to Vladis, make sure you're subscribed to him as well. Great streams. Great streams.
He's the Joe Rogan of the Ashes space.
Let's go. So that was a very fun topic. Also, I want to answer I know I haven't gotten to every but I know how you do, chat. You guys talk too much. And if I read each one of y'all's out loud, we're gonna get stuck on it, and that's how we end up with these 4-hour episodes.
Yeah,
But I did
Vladis
want
and
to.
us was what 3 hours plus 3.5
Oh
hours.
yeah, poor Vladis. Burns knew what he was signing up for though. Like
Yeah,
Burns knows like, okay, these guys talk a lot. I gotta he cleared out his whole schedule for
Yep.
tomorrow. We
Dude,
are
I quit my
good.
job in anticipation for this. No, not in anticipation really, but
Someone had a question. Oh yeah, they said Squatch said, what if you damage someone but then they die to a mob? So if I'm correct, when you damage someone, you would be purple, right? But I think I don't know how it works. This is one of those things I'm interested just testing Alpha 2. I don't know if the mob gets a killing blow, like you don't go corrupted, or if you're just purple or what.
so the thing with that is if you damage somebody, you go purple, you flag as a hostile combatant, but you don't see the other person's health bar. And so what they're trying to do there is stop you from dropping somebody to low health, so like bombs can kill them and everything.
Yeah.
You have to get the killing blow to go corrupt though. You have to make sure. And so to stop that sort of chicanery from happening, like let's say me and Burns are trying to kill this boss and Nice is like, hey man, I want this loot. I'm gonna try and wipe them here at the end and then kill the boss. If he can't see our health bars, he doesn't know what the killing blow is or not. And he doesn't know where our health bars are at. And so he's potentially flagging himself to have us come kill him, or he's risking going corrupt when he was just trying to pull ads on top of us.
well said.
Well said. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. This one we don't have to spend too much time on because we actually ended up combining this one with the previous conversation. As most of these conversations or topics that we have for today came from the video I posted, but if you guys want to pull up the next link, here, let me make sure chat can see my screen. Here, let's see. Here we go. Perfect. So this is one we don't have to spend much time on. I just thought I'd mention it here. This person commented saying, I have to say, I don't think I'm with the whole anyone can enter the dungeon you are in thing. This only invites chaos, and grief tacticians. Wow, my first X for AOC with Steven. So how do you guys feel about dungeons being non-instance based? Anyone can walk in at any time.
Else, you go first.
I love it. I love it. Give me the chaos. Give me the drama. Give me any sort of reason for people to get annoyed at anybody else to create a situation to where you cause friction and we lead to nodes getting toppled. And so I'm here, like Steven's here to see the world burn. I'm here to see the world burn. I'm really looking forward to this. And my perspective on it is the nice part about these dungeon environments is because the best gear is not going to come from them, like everything comes from a crafted situation, you're enjoying the dungeon for the sake of the dungeon existing, right? Like you're experiencing it because you want to experience that combat. And so I think that's the best part about it is you're going into it knowing like, hey, we may get killed by the dungeon. We may get killed by bosses. We may have a group come in and try and wipe us. Like this, the entire experience is anything and everything that can happen. It's not like, it's almost like sometimes dungeons or trials in other games, it's almost like synchronized swimming, right? Like you're just kind of going through, like you already know the steps you have to do. Like, okay, we are going to have ground AoEs here. At this point in time, you're going to move over here. There's going to be a shield bubble over here during this phase. You're going to run over there, and then we're going to run back, and we're going to hit these exact same skills in the order in order to do DPS. Yeah. That doesn't happen. That's not going to happen. And so it's like, oh man, like 4 people are going to come in or 40. You don't know. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. Before you get in here, Burns, I just kind of want to else inspired something there. Like, I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of like what you just said, but it inspired me to have this random thought that I didn't conceive. A situation I didn't think about before. You can go in a dungeon and it's just a breeze one time. Like you go into this dungeon and you're like, oh, this was an easy dungeon. I did this one last week because there happened to be like 20 people running with you, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go another time where it's just you and the group that you brought, just you 4. And it's like, holy crap, I didn't even know this mechanic existed because there's not a Zerg there. And it being non-instance based allows for that variety, that switch up, content not being too repetitive. Maybe, I don't know. It's a little byproduct. And Vladis, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Let's go.
We appreciate you, Vladis.
Vladis says, not many people like the open world dungeon aspect. However, there will be 20% instance content for people, but we don't know to what extent yet. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
There will be non open world content. I wonder, and they could probably just have some dungeons not that case, or maybe there's certain I use the term arenas loosely. And by arenas, else I know you know what I mean, like Dragon Star Arena and
Yeah,
ESO,
yeah.
or stuff like that. It's like think zombies from Call of Duty, like this ladder instance based thing where you just keep going to the next level. But I got a feeling that that's going to be the end game stuff, like the trials, if you will. That's going to be non-open world content. The more important / difficult dungeons are going to be instance based. Like, oh no, y'all not zerging this one down. This has some good loot. This will be instance based. You guys meet outside of there and got to be in the same group, etc., etc. So yeah.
Nice. You're talking about the loot. I like non-instanced dungeons for the loot consistency providing part of it. So I talked about this in one of my videos where I like how so like in New World, for example, which is everyone's favorite punching bag,
Yes.
like they would make some change to some dungeon and everyone would start running it again. And the unique drops from that dungeon then would flood the market. And so it was weird. But if you have non-instanced dungeons, that the rare drops from that boss at the end, let's say he drops a rare dragon scale, that has a controlled drop rate, and it at most will drop as often as that dragon respawns, assuming a group is sitting on it ready to kill it. And that creates scarcity of that resource, which then creates scarcity of top tier gear and actually makes things matter, as opposed to everything being in a controlled sand park experience.
I didn't even think about that aspect of it making gear from these dungeons even rarer than that's interesting. Like else would tell you like how he's had bad luck grinding some artifacts in New World, and he's done like a dungeon for 25 full runs and didn't get the drop. Imagine that when you pull up to this open world dungeon and turns out there's a group already there. They just killed the boss. It's got like a 20-minute respawn, or maybe it has a RNG respawn. You don't know when it'll be back. Like that thing he wants to get, it's going to be even tougher.
Yeah.
Oni Goody posted in chat, don't even get me started on New World RNG. He ran a dungeon. Goody's a really good friend of mine. Ran a dungeon 89 times. I think he was trying to get the Blackguard hammer and didn't get it. And this was right before they introduced the materia system. And so he didn't get the hammer after 76. Thank you.
If you want to,
it's so specific, I believe him.
If you want to lament with our struggles, I complained just last week on this podcast about grinding for the sake of grinding in dungeons or expeditions. I think it's one of the worst mechanics that MMOs have managed to gaslight players on, is the belief that, hey, just because you put like grinding for the same dungeon 50 times, it's good, rewarding combat and gameplay. It's like, no, it's not. Like the minute you start doing that, you take away the actual fun of what it's supposed to be, which is the experience. And and it's interesting because the New World's patch notes came out today, and they have a new event. We don't have to talk about it, like not everybody plays New World, but one of the things they have for the event is you don't have to grind the event nonstop with a very low drop rate. If you complete it 12 times, you get everything that they're offering to you. And so it's now like, hey, we're going to put a cap on the experience. That way you're not spending 12 hours with the worst potential RNG, because that really deters people. Like sometimes, like you have a scale of chance, right? Like just because you have like a 5% chance doesn't mean you're going to get it in the first 20 tries. Sometimes it's 100 tries for people. And that really deters people from playing and enjoying content. And so it's better. I like what Ashes of Creation is doing better with variables, but I like that New World basically said, hey, we're going to put a cap on this. And so that way your eyes aren't bleeding doing this, this content. So
bad luck protection.
Exactly.
that does feel a little forced, though, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like in the way that Ashes is going with their crafting stuff. So, the rare dragon scale, that's a component of multiple different pieces of either armor or weapons.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so when that drops, let's say, you want it for one thing, someone else wants it for something else. It has multiple applications. I mean, this is just an example of how Ashes is being developed by people who actually play MMOs, and AGS.
Yes.
They're mobile gamers. Like they haven't experienced the grind, and so yeah, they've listened to people and stuff. They're like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
simple, yeah, we'll just put a cap on it instead of actually figuring out a like non-gamey system to it.
Yes.
That just feels very AGS, but at the same time, hey, it's way better than running the same dungeon 76 times. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the best outcome. I'm just saying it's a better outcome. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just better
completely.
than what it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Mark says we will see how they handle spawn rates and drop rates testing time. Yeah, for sure. A pity system. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing fun. No one has fun camping a boss. And Faith said something that made me laugh. He said real ones know about the burning spell we fire staff struggle from you. So
Oh,
like,
bro.
oh yeah. Yeah. Um here I'm gonna bring up the next image. This is another one we've kind of touched on. We'll spend a little brief time on this, but it's from a YouTube comment from Mia Rosa. Pretty much all he says here, and this could be a quick answer, chat. He says the loot drop reduction, and I think this was time perfect because of where our conversation just kind of took a tangent to. He says the loot drop reduction for sure will limit Zerging. That is, plenty of people in every MMO. They're talking about else. Plenty of people in every MMO complains about loot drop rates. And for that to get reduced on death, yeah, that's going to incentivize Zerging hard. So what he's saying is like what we were talking about earlier, when you die, your RNG. I was talking about like how you're gonna be less effective in combat. Your RNG is gonna suffer. Like this thing that you're grinding this boss for that keeps beating you up, by the way, this boss that keeps killing you and you want his loot. Yeah, even if you do finally beat that boss, guess what? Yeah, you got to even suck your RNG now. And so the thought process here is that will also in turn lead to people stacking up to retain that as high of a loot drop rate, the better RNG as they can.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this one's up for debate. This is just, it's just a fact of the game, but do you guys think this will perhaps be the biggest incentive more than anything that will encourage Zerging or, really make those death penalties hit hard? And Vladis here says, this is a big thing for me. We don't know to when the death benefits all stack or kick in yet. So personally, I don't like loot drop reduction. We just don't know much about it yet. I'll be honest. I don't know if this is a hot take, but as far as all the death penalties go with XP debt and et cetera, I'm all for them. The loot drop reduction, I'm not for. I get it. I'm not like gun holes, like, oh, this needs to be removed. That doesn't sound fun. But like, if there was a campaign to get rid of this aspect, or if Intrepid announced, like, okay, we have a lot of hardcore aspects about our game. We have a lot of like no trophy mentalities. We have a lot of ways to punish players for not being good at the game. Y'all know me. I'm all for it. But if this is one of the things that they wanted to remove, you will not get a pushback from me. Now, if they went like, oh, we're going to remove death penalties, no. I don't want all that. That's not what I'm saying. But if this was one of the things they considered removing, because of how much RNG already frustrates players, I would understand.
Yeah. I mean, when you bring a Zerg in, essentially you're dropping your own loot rate, right? Because all the other people there that you're going to either have to share DKP with or whatever system for looting you have. So you're going to want to keep as lean of a group as possible so you can get through, you can kill the boss, and then your percentage of getting that gear is that much better.
Sure.
Ide says, I feel like the adaptive content difficulty belongs in this conversation. Well said. That is true. That's a big factor. And speaking of loot drop rates, I think another one of our topics later may tie into that. Sugar Swamp, welcome on in. And also Faithless said another interesting topic regarding this, or rebuttal to this. He says this incentivizes crafting, the route to the best gear in the game. So you shouldn't be too hard pressed about your loot drop being reduced. I like that take. I like that take. And then Vladis agrees with Vale, saying have some kind of bust for being a good player and not dying. That is true. You know what? You guys have actually convinced me. And like I said, I'm not too gun-ho. I'm not too like hardcore about this, but I could foresee them getting rid of this aspect is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I like being rewarded for being a better player than somebody else. So I totally get that. Nemesis is here. Welcome on in. Welcome on in, everybody. I know I haven't read every comment out loud, but we truly appreciate you. Before we get to the next subject, else, do you have anything from your chat you want to skip to?
It's a good point that Vladis and then brought up here as well, because it's, you look at why do people run into Zergs, and we're like, this is a group-based game. Obviously Zerg is just a way larger amount of people than reasonably what you would traditionally need, like just to bypass whatever mechanics are with sheer force, right? And that's what they're attempting to do. They're like, hey, we're not very good, we don't care, we got 200 people, like that's what's going to happen. And so adjusting the loot drop table to basically say, yeah, you can bring 200 people here, we're going to have scaling mechanics to where it's going to still be tough for you, and you're also not going to get a drop rate. I think that all those things, it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. There's so many shifting scales here. There's so many different variables that it really depends on like what the drop rates are, what the penalties are, and these sorts of things. But I like this disincentivization that you potentially could have with this type of mechanic. And I do have a couple comments here. Ben once again says, I like weekly incentives, keeps the game fresh and is a really casual friendly, but also makes the experience feel special. Yeah, for sure. And I think experiencing weekly content is good. But once again, it's just a scale of, is it fun to do? Should the content be fun, or should the incentive be like trying to get this drop rate of something that's 0.001%? That like changes your build by 20%. And I would rather incentivize the gameplay of the expedition or the dungeon or whatever over the drop rate. And that's my perspective. So
nice.
Yep, agreed.
Vlad has said something interesting. Laughable says, but the best, what was that? He said the best crafting will also be behind having access to freeholds. That's processing, but essentially, yeah, that's the same thing because you need those processed goods. So technically, but yeah. Vladis says, like having a buff for killing 5 players without dying, you get a buff. This can stack with more PvP kills. I would love to see some cool. I don't know if they want to tie that to an archetype or if they just want that to be a general thing. Or maybe even a RNG buff for killing players without dying. However you want to go about that. I think I talked about this one episode, but I remember playing Call of Duty in college. Like I promise you guys, I haven't played Call of Duty in probably, I don't know, a decade or something. I don't know, but I remember. Matter of fact, I remember it was Modern Warfare 3. I think the original Modern Warfare 3. I don't know what they're doing these days. I think they revamped the Modern Warfare series. I don't know. Anyways,
they reskinned Modern Warfare 2. Yeah.
Like I played Modern Warfare 3, and it had a specialist system. Somebody can probably correct me that I'm thinking of the wrong Call of Duty, but I think it was Modern Warfare 3. Anyways, they had a specialist system, and instead of kill streaks, like you get your Predator missile, you get your AC-130, your chopper gunner, instead of getting these AI kill streaks, you would get perks on your character. So I think Call of Duty, you selected like 3 or 4 perks, and essentially with every time you get a kill or every couple of kills, you unlock a new perk, and so you just become this badass. Like instead of getting kill streaks, your character is just getting super strong. So conversations like that or suggestions like that, Vlad, always brings me back to that. But yeah, Ides with the $2 donations. Off to raid. Have fun. Thanks for the podcast. Thank you so much. What are you gaming, by the way, Ides? Appreciate that. Thank you. The bounty system. Yeah. Oh, the bounty system. I that's a whole nother tangent. The idea of being a bounty hunter just sounds so good. Because I just know eventually I'm gonna get a contract for else. I just know it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
eventually.
it's definitely happening.
Also, I like listening to this. The problem is we're three very staunch PvPers talking about a lot of PvE systems, and I think we have a lot more to offer, especially on a PvP front, especially with Zerging. I don't know if that's a topic coming up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yes. Before we get into we got a couple more regarding Zergs and especially one that you posted, Burns. Let's take off our critical thinking ashes hats and let's get into some fun ones. We got some fun ones coming up. So
Okay.
the first one we're gonna bring up is this one from well, you guys know the one from the real, I don't even know how to pronounce that word. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Here, let me pull this up.
Albrechter.
Yeah, that guy. This is a fun one here, chat. Let me make it so that you can see it. All right, here we go. All right. So let me zoom out a little bit. This one is fun. This one is fun. Here, let me move Burns over. Zoom out.
We got to make room. We got to make room for this one.
We got to make room for this guy. He deserves all the attention. So what this guy is essentially saying, I don't even know how to. You know, Burns, I want you to read this. I'm curious how you read YouTube comments.
Dear YouTubers, stop covering this game. It's a front for a Los Angeles real estate developer until such time, and this will never happen, never, that it goes into final beta with a clear launch date. It's a con meant to shelter money for tax purposes. If you don't know how it works, then look it up. It will go on in development forever. Man, he just, what a scathing post and review, man.
That guy, he went off the deep end, man.
I love the passion.
That's a different one. I hear a lot of like, oh, Star Citizen 2.0 game will never come out 2048. This guy, he came in with a full-blown conspiracy theory. Like this one caught me out of left field. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Did I read that right? Like, I was like,
and he's going after Steven for being a real estate developer. That's like the most legit, like, because yeah, he did. What was the MLM that he did before? It wasn't. It was a pyramid scheme thing, kind of. But then he transitioned from that, which was essentially a bunch of sales stuff, into real estate, which is a legit business practice.
Yeah.
And he's going after the legit stuff. What? Yeah.
You believe him, Kanku? You know, I want to believe him, but he got to present me with some facts. He said, if I don't know how it works, just look it up. Well, I need him to help me look it up. I need to know where he's going. I was just gonna like comment like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is wrong? Or, you know, or do something like that. And I was like, you know what? You have my attention. I want to see where this goes. And so I don't think he responded, but I commented back like details, like, well, come on, go on. Like, I don't understand this. And the reason I brought this comment up is AOC for some reason has earned a lot of hate watchers. I haven't seen another MMO warrant this many hate watchers. I remember when Throne of Liberty's beta came out and people saw the godly awful combat after like 10 years in development, more than Ashes, by the way. And with the combat it was presented, I don't know if Throne of Liberty has as much hate watchers as AOC, especially these days with it having its Eastern release. No one like hate watches I put it this way, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't feel it's warranted, and it baffles me that people will go on Reddit and comment on AOC things or go to YouTube comment sections talking about the game. They put so much energy into being negative. Like, it takes so much energy to hate something this effectively, this efficiently, and this consistently. Like, just don't follow the project. Like, just there'll be people in Discords like hating on AOC. I'm like, you're putting a lot, you're following this very closely not to like it. I don't know.
Bro, they're scared. Power doesn't panic. If you are playing your game and you're happy with it, you feel like everyone that's playing it right now is super satisfied with it, and everyone's in such a positive community in their current MMO, then people wouldn't do stuff like this. But the problem is the MMO genre, the player population isn't the biggest in the world. It's not, a League of Legends, and so you can really only play realistically one MMO at a time. So
Yeah.
people are scared that this is going to be the next thing. I sincerely believe this is the next thing.
Yes.
And these people, I think they kind of believe it too, man. I think they're scared that that Ashes is gonna blow up and it's gonna take away the player population from whatever crappy game they're playing right now.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I have so much to say about this. This is just so okay. I'm just gonna start at the beginning, and if I talk for too much, you guys tell me to stop, okay? Because there's just so much to say here. Tilly said, "Now that is a new claim I've never seen. I've seen the cash grab comment, the one about Steven being part of a pyramid scheme, but not this one." And yeah, I agree. And Galwood says burning 20 million USD per year tax shelter. Yeah, I actually said the same thing in the comment section in Discord today. Like, I did a video yesterday talking about the overall the bundles and everything, and I did a very, very low estimation on like the minimum amount of what Intrepid is spending per year on developing this game, and it was 100
I love
developers.
that part. That was fantastic.
It was the bare minimum. Like, clearly I'm not overshooting or anything, but it's like they're spending at least $10 million a year on just paying 100 developers. They said that they have 150 now, and that's before all the other costs. And so when you look at this and you're like, a tax shelter, you're paying $10 million for a freaking tax shelter. Like it's just it's so uninformed. And then you see the comment where he's like, if you don't know how this works, look it up. I just went on Google because I was curious, and I just did a search. How many people in the US do their taxes? How many people do it? And it's 1/3 of the United States population does their own taxes. Do you think anybody has an idea in hell, without being like an actual tax, like they actually do tax returns, of how tax shelters work? If the guy, the real Albrecht Dürer, however you say your name, if you know how this works and you have actual factual proof, you have a YouTube account. You can make your own content. You could blow the lid off this thing about how Steven is the biggest corrupt person that's doing this sort of thing. You don't have to tell people to look it up. You know what you're talking about. Clearly,
no. I just wanted to keep leaving it like piece by piece in my comment section over the years.
Save us all from investing in this scam by unleashing what you know. Don't just say Google it ourselves. You know what we're talking about. It's for tax purposes. Go into detail about why spending $10+ million a year to shelter money makes any sort of sense. Please, I need to know. And I'll stop there. I just couldn't believe this one.
No, like it's mind blowing. Like, you have this information that no one else has, and you leave it in my comment section. Like, and you don't even leave it. You just kind of leave like oh, just go look it up. Oh, okay. I never thought about looking that up. There we go.
That's a Seinfeld episode, by the way. Kramer keeps telling Jerry, write it off, Jerry, just write it off. It's a write-off. Like, he doesn't actually know. Like, this guy is memeing, and he probably doesn't even realize it.
Yep. I actually had I just remembered one other thing I was going to say. I'm sorry. Remember last year when all that drama happened with you're not going to enjoy this game? I had people comment on that video, and I remember asking somebody, I was like, hey, this is what this game is about. It's about open world PvX conflict. If you're so anti PvX conflict, why don't you go play another game? Why don't you go enjoy something else? And the guy came out and he said, because there's nothing else, and this is my last hope for something good, and I want to get this one changed. And I think, and I was like, at least you're honest. And it ties into exactly what Burns is saying. Like, a lot of people, I think, know whether you're pro Ashes or you're anti Ashes, you see the writing on the wall of what this game is and what they're developing. And it scares the heck out of people because they want their PvE, more Care Bear like environment. And this isn't it. It's not it.
Mm-hmm. The referral code drama, that's literally the next subject. That's the next subject, Vladis. Before we move on, Conker says, I'm still buying Alpha 2 this week. Nice. You gotta fund the real estate,
Yeah.
tax
Pay for
shelter.
Steven's tax shelter.
If
And
you
he
use
said Los Angeles. Steven's in San Diego. Get it right.
yeah, that was another funny part. Make sure you use my referral code in the description to sign up for Ashes of Creation to fund the real estate program. Gosh. And these guys had some good points. Viral said, hate watch because of two reasons, PvP and crowdfunded. Yep. Vladis says, gamers are becoming more and more jaded with projects that are scams like the day before. The Quinfall, Chrono Odyssey, Chronicles of Valeria. That list goes on. That is true. That's at least a basis on why people are like even more paranoid. I wonder closer to Alpha 2 or during Alpha 2 if people start looking at Ashes like that. But I got a feeling that once Ashes Alpha 2 is out and streamable and everyone's seeing this glorious thing that's to come, assuming everything's going well, then yeah, there's gonna be a lot of haters that come out of nowhere like, oh yeah, my bad, I was wrong.
Yep.
Just the character creator is going to blow people's minds because that comes out before we get Alpha 2 actually, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh crap, this is real and it's real good."
Yes, sir. Also, Konkush said, great video, by the way, no one.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Trep is going to hire him as an accountant with his numbers.
Oh, please don't. Steven, if you need a tax shelter, let me know. I think I can think of a few better ways other than spending $15 million a year.
My coach said, dang, I'm late. I'm glad to see a notification. Can't wait for Alpha 2. Sending love from the Philippines. Let's go.
Oh, kamusta?
Source, trust me. Trust me, bro.
Tilly says,
character creator.
Tilly says, I have no idea how tax shelters work and I do my own taxes. Exactly. That was my point. Like nobody knows how like most tax functions work outside of like people that actually do taxes. I do my own taxes and I have no idea how to set up a tax shelter. So I'm not going to Google how to do a tax shelter in LA when you're from San Diego. Like I don't know how to do it. Like give me the information. Feed me.
So we're gonna move on to the next subject, chat.
Okay.
The one Vladis just brought up, courtesy of our buddy that was in chat, Sawman UK. Here, let me get it so you guys can see it. All right. So we have a YouTube community post recently made by Sawman UK. Sawman UK, one of our good buddies, amazing content creator. He covers a lot of different games, a lot of different MMOs, and he's delving into the Ashes space. He doesn't like make Ashes of Creation content for some weird reason every week like we do because we're weirdos obsessed with this thing, but he's been following Ashes for a long time. He really likes the project, and he finally pulled the trigger and bought his Alpha 2 key. Now, most of you guys' responses to that is what? Congratulations, or hey, see you in Alpha 2.
Hope it works out.
Hope it works out, hope the real estate's worth it. Something to that extent. Normal people comments. And so here, I'll zoom in a little bit more. And so this is Sawman's community post. Actually, Else touched on this in his video. Else, do you want to kind of read his post, go through it, and maybe go through some of the comments?
Sure. I'll see if I can find him here. And so he writes, it was 4 days ago. He said, so I bought an Alpha 2 key. I'm not going to chime in. Pretend I'm British, guys. I'm speaking in a British accent.
Oh, do a British accent. Yes, you have to do a good. Oh, you got to do it.
I can't.
You shouldn't even brought that up. Now you have to do it. So I bought an Alpha 2 key. Oh, come on, I warmed it up for you.
Oh my God.
That was a horrible one, by the way. So I see what you mean.
I can't do it, man. I could attempt to do other ones, but like the thing is Sawman will use this against me for the rest of my life, and that's why I'm going to say no. He says I'm not going to chime on and say that if you should buy it or not, but if you do, feel free to use my referral code. It will make the credit card purchase feel a bit better. Here's his referral link and the referral code. And so then he goes on to show that he purchased the Alpha 2 key. And there were some salty comments. Any other game charging $250 to test the game in this community would be on fire. Somehow Ashes gets a pass. Looking forward to the Alpha. Must be a great game. They are milking testers. My buddy backed these guys years ago. Somebody else saying they invested in another game and it didn't work out. You're a better person than me And then where's the? It's probably at the bottom because I think that's how like a lot of these work. It's probably this one.
The most negative ones towards the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, that is way too much money to pay for a game that might not even finish. You just got scammed hard. How are people supposed to expect you to stay objective when you talk about this game when you've already spent $250,000? A quarter? You just rate 250, bro. Just rate 250. Like
a
quarter of
$100. I spent $250 on dinner last night.
When you've already
I don't know
spent
if that makes it sound worse, or I mean, I guess if you're bragging about money when you say it that way, it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Guess.
When you've
Like if
already
you make 50,000 a year, but instead of saying, "Yeah, I make 50,000 a year," you say, "Yeah, I make about half 100,000," or I don't know. It's just a weird way to word things to fit your narrative.
It's basically just trying to make it sound more than it was. It is a lot of money, but like $250,000. Yeah, come on, man. Just to play it early, you're going to end up shilling for the game because of that. And because of your referral link, you directly get an incentive to convince your viewers that the game is worth a $250 purchase. You're not going to be able to stay objective about this title because you are pretty much an investor now rather than a consumer. And so I think that's where this is coming from, some of the feedback, because there's 8 comments on this one. But yeah, what do you guys have to say about this? Like, do you feel like you can still provide an unbiased opinion about this game as investors or purchasers is a better word, purchasers of the Alpha 2 key?
Have you ever spent a decent amount of money on something and then have that instantly change your opinion? Like there was a restaurant we used to go to in Phoenix, my wife and I, and I'm sure we over the course of being there for 4 years spent over $250K, not K, whoa, over $250 there.
$250,000.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, a $250,000. Yes, thank you for that clarification. But like, at the end, the quality started to suffer, and I wrote a review. I said, "Hey, has been great, is not as great as it used to be." And yeah, I think management changed or whatever. I think that's a terrible argument to make.
I agree. Nice.
I love, before I get to my take, I love what Vladis said, because he said like exactly what I was thinking. Vladis Gaming says, "I'll probably be harder on this game since I spent my money on it personally."
Damn it, I was going to say that.
To it. I was going to say that. He beat us to it, and I didn't want to say it because there's sometimes I say something like I have a point of view or a take, and then I say it, and then I look over, and someone in chat had typed it like 3 minutes ago, and I wasn't paying attention to chat. I'm like, well, I promise I didn't see that already, but this time I did. I was looking at chat, and so I got to give him credit because he beat me to it. But yes, let me backtrack a little bit. So, Ashes of Creation is something that I've obviously invested a lot of time and energy, and I guess you could say finances in. I bought my $250 Alpha 2 key.
Yep.
So I got that Alpha 2 key. I spent hours on hours editing videos. I do this podcast, which you guys talked so much, so it ends up like maybe upwards of 2 hours plus a week. So that's a lot of time and energy into something. And if the game is, let's say the game turns out to be bad, will I look at it like, no, I got to pretend this game is good because I already put, no.
I need a referral key.
Yeah, I need to get that thing at the cosmetic shop. I can't have people spreading the rumor that this game is bad. No, I'm with Vladis. If anything, that lets me be more critical to the game. I don't care if I'm in a content creator program. I don't care if I'm a content creator that's covering the game. I'm always gonna give my unbiased opinion. And in fact, if I can speak for else here, I think and this doesn't mean like, oh, this is my Ashes of Creation review 2024. I'm not talking about those kind of videos. I'm talking about like when it comes to Alpha 2, when it comes to testing. I know Else and I are going to test so many things. And when it comes to PvP, when it comes to combat, that's our wheelhouse. And we're going to be giving a lot of feedback. If something doesn't feel right, if something needs to change, most of my videos are going to be critical videos, but they're going to be positive.
Constructive.
Yeah, constructive. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism and feedback. But still, I'm going to be critical of this game. I'm going to obviously sing my praise about it once I get the hands on it if I'm loving the game. Of course. But am I going to let it am I going to ignore, like, if Steven mid Alpha 2 is like, okay, we're only gonna have. It turns out we're only gonna do the human races. There's 6 nodes. And straight the day before is us. I'm not gonna be on YouTube like, well, it's actually
Yeah.
not that bad, guys. Like, no, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
the White Knights, exactly.
Yep, there's definitely cognitive bias that exists there, that when you finally make an opinion on something, you get tunnel vision on things. But I can assure you, after talking to Sawman, I can go back, I can see if I can go find it. I'm not going to pull up our exact chat, but Nice, you can confirm with me here. But when he bought it, he goes, "Hey, I bought my key. I hope this game doesn't suck." Like, like I remember him.
Yeah.
And it was basically something along those lines. And so if you know Sawman doesn't give a shit. Like, he doesn't give a shit. His opinion is his opinion. He's going to provide it. He doesn't care. And so you have to put yourself in the situation of somebody like the referral program is, you get in-game currency for their crown store. Why would you want in-game currency for a crown store? If you're enjoying the game. If you're playing the game, you are then incentivized to like say, hey, I really like this game. I want more of this so I can buy more cosmetics. I can do these sorts of things. If you're not enjoying the game, why would you want more of something that you're not going to use? So like this entire aspect of, wow, you're going to be biased because you're going to buy more costumes on a game you're not going to play because it's not any good. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical sense why anybody would want to do this. I remember when I was in college and I was dating my future wife, and I was trying to impress her. We went out to this really expensive restaurant. I was a college kid. It was really expensive. I spent 20% of $1,000 at this restaurant, and they brought out the food, and it was like, I asked for their steak, and I got like 2.5 ounces of steak. It was one of those places. And it was like, and I didn't know. And so we ordered our food. I spent 20% of $1,000, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, we left and we watched a movie, and we got done with the movie, and I told her, I was like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner again, but to a place where I'll actually have food? And she's like, I'm starving. And so we had to go out to dinner again. I'm telling you right now, I am not at all biased by saying that because I spent a lot of money at this restaurant that it's any good. That place was not enjoyable at all. They could at least, it looked pretty. I was still hungry.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough food for even somebody half my size. So I did not enjoy it.
Dude, and when you think about it from Intrepid's perspective, they want people to test this who are invested in the game.
Yeah.
They don't want the real whatever his Albrecht Dürer. They don't want the real Albrecht Dürer coming in and being a troll and like testing things out or not testing things out and then demanding changes. They want people who with a barrier to entry in to test their game. They're trying to limit the number of people, which I don't know how well that's going, but so the feedback that the people are going to give from Alpha 2, there's going to be a unique there will be a unique forum a unique forum thread or whatever that Alpha 2 testers will have access to.
Yes.
And that is going to be what they listen to. They care about the people who are actually playing the game, who actually have some skin in the game. And so the barrier to entry is very smart from their side. And yeah, there's the money thing, which is also good for them. But yeah, barrier to entry is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get people that like why would you buy the key? You like the idea, you like the live streams, you like where the things are going. You're a little bit extra incentivized to provide good feedback. And Nice and I have talked about this in the past, and I don't know if you'll agree with us or not, Burns, but like, I put thousands of hours into ESO. I'm almost at 1,000 hours in New World. I participated in both the PTS and the PTR for both those games. I have never once provided actual feedback through the feedback mechanic. I've always gone on the forums, voiced my opinion. Like I've voiced feedback, but I've never felt like my feedback mattered. And so you get that loop of, you want to provide feedback, but you don't feel like it matters. Whereas in this situation, you already see through their live streams that they're listening to feedback from everybody. They're going to get even better feedback from people that are like, hey, I really want to see this game succeed. I'm going to test these things. I'm going to provide my information because I'm involved. I'm invested. I'm involved. I'm ready. And I think that's really important too. It should have been something I brought up in my video yesterday, but I did not. So
Dude, that's part of why I made my channel, is because they actually listen. I mean,
yeah,
it is so strange to have a game developer listen to feedback and implement changes based on that. Most other games, you feel like the developer's on another planet. And you can you can say whatever you want, but they're not gonna listen. And my guess is, with Intrepid doing this and the impending success of Ashes, that other game developers, my guess is Blizzard especially, will start changing, because they'll have to in order to survive. They'll have to start listening to their player base in order to actually make it, because
yes,
Intrepid is raising the bar with game studios. I mean, despite being kind of an indie studio, they're wrecking the curve already for other game development studios.
I completely agree. Tilly here says also buying costumes doesn't benefit you. If the in-game store gave pay to win benefits, then I'd say there could be an argument made. Absolutely. I completely agree.
So HD's making me hungry in chat. I'm so hungry. Talking about wagyus and stuff. I'm gonna skip the next thing I have on the agenda there, so we can just keep everything in this episode relevant to each other.
Okay.
Burns, if you want to take the lead on the next two screenshots we got there.
Sure.
But we have this one with the I think you posted these from Fair Play. I think that's from my comment section.
Yeah,
the Fair
it
Play
is.
guy. Here, let me do that.
I'm looking at the stream right now. So
Okay.
whenever you get it pulled up on the stream, I'll grab it.
There we go. Got it set up
Cool.
for you.
Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah. So Fairplay says, comment on Nice's most recent banger. Zerg content and no open PvP is why New World sucks. Fat balls. Sorry, that was just a little funny reading. There's no mass PvE content. Every boss in open world dies in 2 seconds, and their quote unquote mythic or legendary items are so LMAO. How can you call it? How can you call item legendary if it drops from trash mob, featherweight, or mob can be zerged by 50 people? How is that legendary status? Also, lack of PvP allowed bots to go mega lulls on the game. In Lineage 2, I saw a bot farming my spot. I just kill it and move on with my farm. In New World, you see a bot running an aura route. Well, there's nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely.
And
yes,
I mean, yeah, a lot of things about New World sucks. Fat balls. So
and this was a two-parter comment. I guess let's just get into the rest of it. Hopefully you can see that on stream here.
Yeah, let me pull it up on my end too. Sorry, didn't realize this is a two-parter.
Well, yeah, it's a two-parter. But I guess for he kind of goes on a long thing, so let's kind of address the first one. Third content, open world PvP. He's right. With no open world PvP, you can't kill a bot. So yeah. As far as the artifacts, as they're called in New World, not feeling legendary, I mean, he's right. It's just RNG for some random mob for some of these things. You're just spamming a dungeon. There's not really a legendary achievement for it per se. Once you do get them, it's funny, which I think is a cool concept. Once you do get the artifact, it's not just ready to go out the gate. It's missing perks, and you got to do certain quests or tasks to then get the perks on that weapon, which I think is a cool concept. What I think would be a cooler concept is if you get a shard or a piece of this weapon from this mob, and then you get this one from this one, and then you put them together, and that forms this legendary thing. I think maybe that would have been a more fun gameplay loop. I don't know. Maybe then it'll feel legendary, but I kind of see his point with that. But I think his big thing here with like the mobs, I talked about this in the video, like, and I showed it in the video, like these mobs dying in like 5 seconds because there's 30 to 40 people around. It's just not fun, man. It's just not fun. It's not challenging. And You don't get to see, and I've told this story twice on stream with me and Els doing like a high tier corrupted portal with just me and him, and it was so fun. It was such a struggle, and we had to try so hard. There was no reward, honestly. There was no reason to do it. It was just like bored late at night, and it's like, let's do this. And it was so fun. It was so challenging. And then you compare that to what I showed in my video. It's like it's complete opposites, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm gonna keep harping about this because I think the entire MMO space has this wrong where they incentivize the drop rate and don't incentivize the gameplay aspect. Like it's like everybody's like, oh, it's an MMO. MMOs are supposed to be grindy. Like that's fine. That's fine. But an MMO is a game. Games are also supposed to be fun. Like that's the first thing that people should be looking at. As a developer, you should be looking at, hey, is it fun to do this? Is it fun to sit at a boss with 50 people for 2 hours to get a couple of hits in, or no hits because you're in a group and your group's doing damage, so you don't even have to do anything? Is it fun and enjoyable gameplay to sit there and pick up like the loot every 2 to 3 minutes and hope you get this thing? If the answer is no, then don't make it that way. And like that's my perspective. And so I agree. I agree with his perspective on these sorts of things where it's like, yeah, like why are you making this hidden behind just pointless? Like all you have to do to make something have sustainability at that point for content is just like, hey, let's lower the drop rate. Let's lower the drop rate on this. Like, let's make this valuable.
Let's make it grindier.
Yeah, let's make it grindier because then they have to spend more hours in our game in order to complete this content. That it doesn't make it more fun. It just makes you play longer. And I think that's the wrong way to go about doing it.
Oni Goody brought up the early days of New World. Do you guys remember the chest runs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Shattered Mountain chest runs were somewhat fun because you had to go in a group and people would aggro too much. And that was kind of fun. But there was one of the most rewarding chest runs was in Morningdale, and there weren't any mobs. To get the best gear, the best, rarest things, you would go on these just insane treks on these circles where you run and just hit E when you go up to a chest. There's nothing engaging. Like, to Elsa's point, the best gear should be behind the best content, the most fun content. So completely agree there.
Yeah. So I want to skip ahead here and discuss under that next image coming up, because someone in chat brought it up, but we've briefly talked about this on stream before. But I want to talk about how cool or how good active GMs will be, and the potential of that. We briefly touched on this earlier when Burns kind of did, I think, when we were talking about botting and stuff like that. But I, for one, I've never, we talked about this before, but I've never played a game with active GMs. Like, I don't know what that's like. I've never seen them in game. The concept that, and the reason I put this on today's agenda is because someone commented, I just couldn't find the comment before stream, but someone commented saying something along the lines of, wouldn't it be really cool if like you can just have these varied events, like a game developer just feels like, you know what, I'm just going to make a huge thunderstorm, or, you know, you guys are just chilling, bored, I'm going to spawn a dragon right here that this doesn't normally happen. I'm just going to put a dragon here in the middle of town, or, you know, just random weird stuff to keep the game fun, interactive. You never know what's going to happen. You know, maybe he just uses his powers to post a funny message on everyone's screen, or everyone come to this field, I spawned 300 ore, you know, first come first serve. Just little things that really give you a sense of community. And from what I understand, they're going to hire like full-time GMs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think they're going to turn some of their team into GMs as well. So I played WoW back at launch in 2004, and they had active GMs back then. And it was interesting, like you would see him just kind of strolling around. Like they had a character in game that they would walk around with and just make sure things were functioning normally. They
Yeah.
didn't back, at least when I was playing, they didn't add any unique content per se, but like kind of like what Vladis is talking about. They'd ban the crap out of people if you were misbehaving, if you were doing the wrong thing, if you were spamming, something offensive in global chat, whatever. So they were kind of feared, but that you brought up an interesting point. Nice. If they are able to spawn variable content, would what if your GM sucks on your server and doesn't do that enough compared to others?
Ooh. Yeah, that'll yeah, it's like you see everybody else having fun and you're just sitting there like,
Right.
from your bedroom window, you're looking outside, all the kids playing, you're just like, "Oh,
The
all
You see
right."
Squidward
SpongeBob
meme.
and Patrick running
Yeah.
out there.
The
Yeah.
Squidward SpongeBob meme. That's perfect.
Start reporting your GM. Dear Steven, nothing fun happened on my server today.
When you're
This
done with
GM
your
barely
tax
spawned a
shelter.
dragon. Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
Sorry.
Oh, I hope Steven just tuned into the podcast and heard that out of context. So I got another thing I want to bring up here. It's this was a Discord message from Lineker in the Ashes of Creation Discord. Shout out to Lineker. He's always active on the forums as well. And fun fact, and I think that's why this originally got brought up. But fun fact, as soon as I spawned in to test PAX Day, like if you guys that was there during the live stream, as soon as I spawned in, Lineker like hooked me up. We went to see his home that he had built. He gave
Nice.
me a spear. Like that spear helped me so much. Really cool guy. And he said this in AOC's Discord. I think this was the other day. But he said this. He said, "Man, a thought just occurred to me. Imagine if Intrepid decided to add a cash shop in Alpha 2." I think there was a couple reasons that this topic of discussion was being had, but we were just talking about I think they might have been talking about scam games and like how people don't like cash shops and early access games. Like if PAX Day was to do it, like you already paid so much for the alpha, some people might view it as predatory, or basically how it can make games seem like a scam when you're just constantly reaching out, developers constantly having their hand out for more and more stuff. Burns, I guess we'll start with you. How do you feel about an in-game cash shop during Alpha 2? Not necessarily maybe cosmetics still being sold monthly on the website or something like, you can buy your $5 cloak that becomes available. How would you feel about a cash shop being available in Alpha 2? Do you expect one to be available during Alpha 2?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be opposed. I actually do expect one to some extent. I think Intrepid is very loyal. You can see with their, Alpha 1 testers, they're talking about how they're going to phase in testers. Like they're going to have Alpha 1 had a few thousand testers, and they're going to, they give access to those guys first, and then Alpha 2 starts with the rest of us, all the other Alpha 2 testers. And so I wouldn't put it past them to be like, hey, you guys are testing Alpha 2 for us. We appreciate it. Here is a shop with limited items. They're not going to come back. So just if you want to wear, if you want to buy them, hey, cool, that's great. I could see that. That wouldn't concern me at all. And I mean, I don't think Lineker is suggesting that Steven would put in like any pay to win mechanics in this cash shop, because that's, out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I think he means cosmetics in theory. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, honestly, I'd be totally fine with it, even if they weren't limited edition, like Alpha 2 skins or whatever. Fine with it. Doesn't change my opinion one way or the other.
Yeah. Else, what about you?
This is tough. I see both points of view. I want to, I guess I'm going to say it from that perspective. I see both points of view. I think regardless of if you do that, like what's the difference between a cash shop and what they're doing now, essentially, where they're like every couple of months they're releasing cosmetics. It's the same thing. Like if you're doing cosmetics in game or you're doing cosmetics on the website, really, what's the difference? And I don't personally see a difference in that at all. I think the optics will get blowback from certain people in the community, like, hey, they paid this much for Alpha 2 and now they have a cash shop for this, and this is BS and blah blah blah. Like, it's, I think you have to filter through that noise in general. I don't think it's any different. The minute they start doing things like, if they ever start doing things like RNG loot crates and stuff like that, if they did stuff like that, then then I'll have a problem with it personally. But yeah, I have no problem with them just continuing the art that they've been doing for different cosmetics at all. So
yeah, I think for the most part, the way I look at it is, it's the same thing we have right now, except we might actually be able to equip it.
Yeah, yeah,
it's more real, it's more tangible.
yeah.
I wish I had remembered to prepare for this, but there's a meme that I see posted in the official Ashes of Creation Discord a lot, and it is hilarious. It should not still be making me laugh as much as it does when I see it. But hey, Favor, matter of fact, Favor, could you find this image I'm talking about? I think you've seen it too. Welcome on in, by the way. There is an image, it's a meme where, so like, I hate when Intrepid is forcing me to buy cosmetics, girds. It's one of those, and it is hilarious. Like, people are so picky with gaming these days when it comes to monetization. They act like it's not a company trying to make money. We have such bad monetization. I was looking into Throne and Liberty's monetization earlier, and just some other MMOs like what's the other one that it starts with an A, I think? Korean MMO. I can't think of it right now. Anyways, we have a lot of MMOs with a lot of bad monetization practices. I come from the Elder Scrolls Online, which isn't pay to win per se, a lot of pay to convince, but their monetization practices are like, it's very aggressive and predatory, especially towards new
everything.
players.
Yeah.
Yes, they're getting the most they can. Yes, Favor, that's the one. Intrepid is forcing me to pay for cosmetics. That's the meme. That one is hilarious to me because here we have a game that's promising you no pay to win, no box cost. All you have is your subscription, and then a cosmetic cash shop would trigger you. It would it's the deal breaker. It's no pay to win. And the thing is, you don't have, and that's the part that gets me. You don't have to buy them. They're cosmetics. You're not missing out on anything.
Yeah.
They're literally just cosmetics. It's
Dude,
not Ion. It was a popular one last year. I don't know why I can't think of it. Lost Ark. Lost Ark is the one I was trying to think of. I'm sorry. It just came to my head. Lost Ark.
Sure.
Dude, I talk about this in my visual progression video. It's one of my first ones. I don't like do you remember at launch with New World, there was that like really shiny gold and silver skin you could put on. People would put it on level 1, like in that crappy little fishing area in First Light or wherever you were. You went from wearing rags to just looking like a monster already, and you looked better than the gear they had at max level. Sure. Intrepid has already addressed this, man. Like they have scaled their cosmetics, so the better ones, the better looking ones or whatever that look more beefy, are only available with your higher tiered gear that you can put the cosmetic on top of. So yes, they have cosmetics, but dude, they're doing it in such a genuine, real gamer way that doesn't take away the visual threat assessment that you get from looking at someone's gear.
Yep. Ooh, hold up. Everybody, pause. We just got, I need a little bell I can ring when we get off topic and subject just jumps in my head. We just got a random tangent. You just inspired me. Welcome on in, everybody. I see all these comments. You guys are awesome. And I'm with you, Vladis. I will be wasting time on Throne of Liberty since it has no box cost. Okay. You just made me, and I hope you're going to disagree because it sounds like you're going to disagree with me. Threat assessment. Threat assessment, cosmetics.
Yeah.
Do you, I've noticed this ever since I've been a part of the Ashes of Creation community because this has never been a worry in my game. I'm a cosmetics for lack of a better word, and I will say this properly, a cosmetics whore. Um,
Lady
I
of the night.
A
Okay.
lady.
I cosmetics are my end game. I love cosmetics. Obviously I'm in the camp of like, I'd rather it be something, I'd rather the coolest looking stuff be earnable. That's something that I don't think the Elder Scrolls Online did. You had to like gamble in RNG loot boxes for the coolest mounts and cosmetics. Even on Guild Wars 2, as soon as I logged in that game, they made me look like trash, as I should, as a level 1 newbie. And I was like, nah, I saw these cool little, what I would refer to as polymorph / costumes as they are. And I bought one instantly, made my character look cool, and I loved it. It made me feel like I was better than I was. It just gave me the confidence when I played. I love looking at a cool looking character. It motivates me. I like being the cool guy. Cosmetics are important to me. There are some people that are against, and this is the topic that is more so the question I'm going with, transmog. A lot of people don't like transmog. If you are a tank fighter, they want to see that plate metal that you're actually wearing from that set. They don't want you to have the wizard cap. They don't want you to have a robe because they feel like they're being fooled. They're assessing the threat in that sense, and that in turn, from what I understand, changes how they would engage in the battle. And what I've seen a lot of people say is that I want to know what you're wearing because that's going to, like, they're going to run away depending on what gear. Me as a PvPer, I don't want there to ever be a situation where I'm going to run away from someone based off what I see they look like. So that mindset baffles me, but a lot of people say they want that and that's their mindset. What are your thoughts, Burns?
I don't feel like I'm being set up at all right now. Not at all.
Are though.
So, there's the purist mentality where, hey, there's no changing anything. You can't even change the color because it would, too many different color options. No.
Camouflage.
And then there's the New World approach where you can have the best looking skin without actually ever doing anything in the game. I think transmog and stuff is and skins. I think fashion is end game. I think once you've earned it, it's fine. But I don't agree, and I don't think Intrepid is allowing this, with you changing cloth armor to look plate and vice versa. For example, they did that in New World. In my visual progression video, I actually got footage of this where it was right after the first round of merges. My guild owned the server, right? Like we were top dogs, but the server that merged, one of the servers that merged into us, was literally the exact same size. They created an all-star guild of all of their best players, and they came at us. And dude, it was right after the Wheel of Time skins came out in New World, and it was that weird white robe you could get, and there was the gray like kind of vest. So they all wore the white robe, and they all came out. All of their bruisers who were wearing heavy or medium, their healers who were wearing light armor, they were all wearing the exact same skin. And bro, it was a cheese. Now I didn't fault them. I didn't fault them at all. I thought that was a smart tactic for them to use.
It is.
We beat them like a drum, but it was still a good tactic because AGS allowed that to happen. And so the fault for cheesing PvP like that lies with AGS's poor planning because they're not actually MMO players. So I like some fashion, yes, but I think it should not be to the point where it cheeses PvP. Because you can't tell me you would go up against a guy who looks like he's all plated out the exact same way that you would go against a guy who's wearing paper armor in the form of cloth. It's gonna be a different strategy.
It's gonna be a different strategy, but in games like New World or Guild Wars 2, or especially in ESO, who's super transmog heavy, I've always read the room. I've always like reacted to the ability. It's like, oh, you use that ability. Obviously, you're a mage primary archetype, so I know what I'm dealing with now. But I
and
also
their dodges, the dodges give it all away.
Yes, exactly. And so I feel like that then adds a skill gap there. Now I am with you though on how that can be very annoying, very cheesy. And there maybe it should be an extent. And I don't know. I know Ashes does it by tiers, like how you were explaining earlier with you can't just be day one loaded and have that. I am not positive, and maybe as far as because I've not heard that before. the like, so if you're medium armor, you can only wear a medium armor looking like chest piece. Like if it's a medium cosmetic, I don't know if they've categorized that right. So that should, in theory, this transmog thing should be a thing in Ashes. That I don't know. Chat, have we gotten clarification on that? Anybody know?
Yeah, transmog is a thing. Let's.
Yeah, that I remember.
You talking about armor weight transmog? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a specific thing.
Basically, I'm trying to see if my tank archetype with metal helm that I got from Carfin can put on a wizard's cap as a cosmetic. Vladis, thank you so much for being here, dude.
Yeah.
Viral says they haven't clarified that. Yeah, I didn't think so. I their stuff on transmog has been pretty bland in general. Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective as a PvPer, and Nice knows this because he knows what my build is on ESO, but I've always tried to play counter to what my specific stereotypical class type is. So my Nightblade, a Nightblade is a rogue. It's a stealthy, high damage mobile class, and the entire thing when ESO first came out was Nightblades. They're squishy. You get your hands on them, they die. Right. And so that's what people would do, is they would focus the Nightblade as soon as they saw him. And I was like, okay, people are focusing me. This is great. I'm going to build a little bit tankier because I already have damage. Like I'm a freaking Nightblade. I already have damage. I'm going to be tankier. So you're going to come into this assuming that I drop over in 2 hits and you're going to try and ulti dump me. And basically you wasted everything because I have very high mitigation. And because of that, because of how I would do that, I never look at somebody else's transmog. I never look and see what they're wearing, like, oh, they're in robes, so they're this or this. I look at it as, okay, how much damage am I dealing when I'm hitting them? What is, like, a New World, what is their shuffle like? Like, what is their priority in ESO? Like, are they healing or what are they doing? Because I look at weapons. I look at weapons and I look at skills, because the weapons and skills will tell the story way more than the transmog will. And so,
yeah, for sure.
And so I've never had an issue with it, but I've also tried to use it against other people for the same reason people are talking about it. So I see that perspective. I've always tried to build in a way to where I can fight anybody and everybody, so I don't care about what I'm running across. But yeah, I guess I've never heard that complaint about people saying that transmog should look like whatever weight you're wearing.
I've seen it so much in AOC's Discord, and we found a good section here on the wiki. Here, else I'll place.
So you're gonna have that buff. That you're gonna have that icon above you, which says what type of gear you're wearing.
Galwood says there are rules when applying cosmetics to specific items, unlike costumes, which don't have level restrictions.
Yep.
It doesn't specifically say there's an armor type limit. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So there is a tier limit, though, right? But you're right. You're right. There is no armor type. The buff will tell you what armor type it is.
Yeah,
so, it'll be interesting to see if they go with that or not. Like armor type.
Yeah, so here on the wiki says gear inspection / threat assessment, which is literally what we're talking about, which is very convenient. This is here. Players will have a buff on their nameplate that indicates the gear set that they're wearing. So if you want to put it in the New World mind, that's light, medium, or heavy.
Sure.
Cloth, leather, plate, however you want to put it. Other players will be able to see this buff by targeting that player at a distance. So even if my tank fighter is in my Gandalf outfit for whatever reason, I promise you guys, I will not commit that atrocity. I just need a hyperbolic example. I promise.
Dude, I will.
But,
I do. I'm doing that in New World right now.
Oh, you sure did.
Yeah, I got the Gandalf hat on my melee brawler. I absolutely do.
Yeah. And on my light armor healer set, I would wear the cosmetic that looked like heavy plate armor.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I love playing those mind games. It's definitely something I do.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. But yeah, okay. So I'm glad they've thought about this. So you're gonna be able to look how you want, but at least there's a fat indicator of the amount of resistances or type of armor you're predominantly wearing. And I think they got the same thing. Like cloth armor is obviously gonna be weak against physical damage, like a fighter against a mage. Plate armor is going to be good against physical resistances, but take a lot of magic damage, I think is what was said. And leather, I think, was just a good in between,
Middle
best of
ground.
both worlds. No pros, no cons.
I actually have
I agree with Maz.
I have
what
a
Matt say?
oh, go ahead. What did Matt say?
He thinks it breaks immersion when armor doesn't look like the type.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I get that. I've just never been of that mindset. Like, and like I said before, I respect everyone's outlook and opinion. It's literally a matter of perspective. So I totally get it. I totally get
It's
it.
an opinion.
It makes sense to me. It helps your immersion. One, when a mage looks like a mage. I'm just always been of the mindset that who are we to stereotype what a mage should look like? What if this guy over here wants to be a battle mage?
Yeah, what's a
He
battle
doesn't want
mage?
to. He doesn't want to be Harry Potter. He wants to be a battle mage. Hell, I mean, isn't there literally a class named battle mage? Like
I'm pretty sure
and
there
I
is.
think that's where that's where I think it gets tricky with trying to be too normalized, is that we have so many class combinations. There's going to be tank mages, there's going to be mage tanks, and so I think you need to accommodate for that. Yeah, exactly. Mage can wear plate. Favor says, I disagree. I feel like my immersion is ruined when I'm forcing my character to wear an outfit they would literally never wear. My immersion matters too, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Well,
And that's a good point.
Well, what about
Um,
level 1, bro? Like, what you're telling me you're gonna wear rat? Like, you're opposed to wearing crap? You want level 1 characters to look like freaking giants? Like, I disagree with that. I like the way that Intrepid has it set up, where it's a tiered system, right? Where there's tier 1 cosmetic, tier 2 cosmetic, tier 3 cosmetic, and that the higher you go, like the cosmetics are locked to those tiers.
yes. I think he means like weight wise, like if it's
Yeah,
light,
sure.
medium, or heavy.
And I
Yeah,
agree there. Yeah.
definitely. That makes sense. Favor says I had to look like I'm wearing weird scale armor from a specific dungeon, even though my character is Bard who wears heavy. Laughable says,
Yeah.
I'm glad there won't be skimpy armors in the game just to please the hornies. I think it does something to your game and it's too distracting. Yeah. I was installing Arcade yesterday, and like it came with a freaking warning. That's how it came with, like a warning, and like you see the girl on the cover and all this. I'm like, oh my, like what am I getting into?
Can we talk about warnings for a sec? I think warnings are the dumbest things. Like when I start playing a video game and it tells me all these things about warnings, like, so New World has that one just so they don't get accused of cultural appropriation or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to talk immersion breaking? Like, oh, hey, let me
Yeah.
click through 5 different warnings because their legal department is really sensitive. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, like we're not trying to. Yeah, that I'm with you on that. I was like, all right, you're like, okay, their legal team is taking really extra steps,
Yeah.
but I don't think no one was gonna sue you over this. But all right.
Right.
I got some really good comments over this entire discussion.
Let's get into it.
So Galwood said, Steve, this is going back a little bit. We're very immersed, but he just briefly going back to the cash shop. He goes, Steven is very open to dropping cosmetics to continue to generate revenue. So people who didn't like the pre-order package will similarly complain about an in-game shop. There is a sandal icon in the micro menu in the game already. I bet that's the shop. And then the next person comment on top of that, they have to make money somewhere. It can't run on love forever. Which is true. It's a video game. At some point, it has to be profitable. I completely agree. Mr. Pig, good to see you, by the way, Pig. It's been a while. He says, the better you look, the better you play. Basic gamer knowledge. Exactly. Like everybody knows
this.
Everybody knows
Thanks,
this.
Damian Lillard.
my biggest issue with talking about the cash shop and cosmetics is I never had a problem when ESO sold them in the cash shop or in transmogs and all these sorts of things. The problem is when they would sell skins that looked exactly like some of the toughest content in the game, and you could just purchase that and you could mistake it easily for the other content. The best looking stuff, the most rare things should be in game. And their problem is they went way too far into transactions and not enough into rewards. And so there's a big disparity between what you would get in game and what you would purchase. And I don't know if you saw this recently, Nice, but last week or the week before, they started putting a disclaimer on some of their cash shop items to where if you wanted to buy certain items, you had to be an ESO Plus member.
Oh yeah.
So you had to pay $15 in order to have the privilege of paying more money in order to get things, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And so, what was the next comment? Nope,
Yeah,
that's
you
it.
grow udders when you do that, apparently.
It's yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and then cash, like, you know, pennies trickle out, and it's pretty awesome. So
Can I make a horrible metaphor off the top of my head really quick?
Oh, I
Go
can't
ahead.
wait.
So I don't know everyone's living situation, Chad. I don't know if you pay a mortgage, rent, whatever. But I know if I'm gonna go pay my rent. No. Let's talk electric bills. Hear me out, Chad. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Let's say you had your electric bill due. Your electric bill was $150 this month. What if you went up to go pay? I know everybody pays online these days, but let's say you went up to the electric company. You went to go pay them $150, or maybe you went to pay online, whatever. And you had to sign up for this program to make an account to pay your electric bill. And this program costed $10 a month. $15 a month for you to have the privilege of paying your electric bill. If this wasn't a cost or a fee in your electric bill, you had to be a part of this subscription program to be able to pay your electric bill. It's just like, doesn't that not piss you off more than if you saw that they raised your your utilities bill by $15? It's just something about having to be a member of a subscription service to have the privilege of paying for something. Like, it's
Like
just,
having Netflix, and then you still have to pay to rent some of the things you watch.
yeah,
it's mind blowing.
So somebody asked.
Fees for fees.
Somebody asked. I provided a link in our chat if you guys want to just click that. But it's it's if you guys want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. But Azura here has a quick clip showing that in order to buy things in the cash shop, you have to have ESO Plus. And so it's 12 seconds. And it says you must have ESO Plus to purchase this product. So yes, you have to pay $15 for the privilege of paying another item, which is just, it's ridiculous. And it works both ways. Like this is a way to milk money quickly, but it's also a deterrent, because in my opinion, when I see stuff like this, it's like, well, why would I play? Like you're telling me that I have to pay more money on just ridiculous things in order to have a chance to pay more money. No, thank you. Like, I'll just go play something else and get enjoyment out of, you know, having rewards that give me stuff like this for free. So
that is the most, as if they don't have enough monetization with the RNG loot boxes.
I'm sorry, guys.
And all that other
Here
stuff.
it is.
Like that is very interesting of a business decision there. Yeah, I I feel like anytime ESL Twitter pops up on my timeline, it's never
always
good
negative.
thing.
It's always negative. Yeah.
It's always something like that. Here, I got the next. I don't know which one of you posted. Was this you, Else? The traveling being fun or something like that?
Yeah. So there was
a great one.
There was two that coincided with it. Let me just go back and double check. But yeah, that thing just caught me off guard. Let me go in here. Oh, this is appearance slots. My bad. Oh, we're talking about
Burns is getting kind of wide. I got to keep moving him around the screen.
There we go. So let me make sure this looks all fine and dandy here. It's from Zerged, and there is another link that I posted. I think it's on, actually you posted, I think, nice, and it coincides with this, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So there's two that kind of go hand in hand. And it says Ash is going to have a very large map with long travel times and very limited fast travel options. Apart from resource gathering, mob killing, PvPing, and running caravans, apart from all that, a player may spend a large part of their played time actually just running. After someone has been somewhere a few times and knows the place, the, quote, discovery feeling wears off, and it's just holding W down for 10 minutes straight while adjusting the mouse a little. Is the traveling going to be fun at all? Any kind of cool mechanics? Watching the ranger jump across a canyon with their ability definitely looks like a fun way to travel around the map, but as a primary ability, its purpose is more strategic than a mobility mechanic based around regular travel. And who knows what level we get this? Are we going to see things like gliders or mount abilities that are fun to use and help get around difficult terrain. Maybe sliding down a hill and gaining speed like Apex Legends, or a grappling hook with rope that you can shoot across the canyon or pull you to a location. The recent discussion around utility skills might have a good crossover with fun travel. Are the fun ways of traveling only going to be allowed for higher levels, or can there be some fun starting level 1? I understand that speed and distance are part of the game's strategy and core mechanics. We want it to take some time to get from point A to point B. I'm just hoping that the character control part during this time is fun, even if we aren't PvPing or engaging with other mechanics. And so I don't know so much about the grapple hook stuff, but I thought it's an interesting point because we've all played New World and we know what happens on a map without any fast travel, like the bad end that can happen. And so I thought this and the grapple hook thing and gliders or whatever, like I thought this would be a good discussion to have. So
Yeah. I like this one. Yeah, I just remembered the one that I posted. Maybe it'll still be worth opening that one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right, man.
So I'm gonna start this one off with something I didn't think I would ever do, but I'm gonna actually have to give praise to Throne and Liberty for this one.
Oh.
Yeah, so fast traveling in that game is perhaps, and once again, I feel like I have to preface this all the time. I'm not no 50-year-old guy that's played every MMO since the dawn of time. I'm no MMO expert, blah, 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 played everything. But from what I understand, my limited knowledge, Guild Wars 2, Throne and Liberty has done it very well, and I'd say innovative. So you have the grappling hook system, you got your gliding mounts. Something different. Instead of mounting up, you actually transform into a certain animal. Like, so instead of a mount, you transform into, like, let's say a lion, and that's your fast speed.
oh, cool.
They have one for water as well. I don't know that you can go underwater. I didn't try. But traversing water instead of like into a swim thing, you turn into a freaking otter, or whatever thing you choose and unlock. But the reason I say that is also, just as a little side tangent is where I was going with this. Their fast travel is actually among the best that I've seen. So if I had to use an example, we've all just, you hit travel, you get like a 4-second window to, gives you a chance to cancel out of it, right? There's like some animation your character's doing some little ritual so they can teleport, and that's how the game justifies it, or you got to go to a teleport shrine. Throne and Liberty, it does something very unique in that you're like, almost see the transport. Like, it's one of the best transports without a load screen, especially that I've seen in an MMO. And if you guys haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. But as far as like just making fast travel fun, I think Throne and Liberty hit that on with the nail on the head with that one. Or traveling in general fun. I mean,
Sure.
I think as far as ashes go, I mean, you have mounts. I'm sure your mount will have certain abilities like a little speed burst. You may have gliding mounts or whatever. I don't think fast travel has to be overly fun. We know there's going to be I typed something in the AOC Discord where I was talking about, like, wouldn't it be fun if you can do a drive-by with a mount? Like, imagine someone riding by on a horse and there's a mage sitting on the back, like, pew, just cast a spell, pew, pew. But then Steven responded to that with something like, there's going to be some vehicles with like utilities like that, which to me sounds very interesting. So
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure traveling is going to be fun, and I know this person's looking more so like the traversal, sliding down hills, little stuff like that. I don't think none of that's super necessary. And I think the map is so large that I don't think I'm going to get so bored to where discovery is just like, meh, holding W for 10 minutes. And by the way, good post by them. They acknowledged that, hey, they understand that it's part of the game's core thing and that they want it to take time to get from point A to point B. And I like this post. I like where they're going. It's not something I've, sweated too much, but I like the post. I like it. What's your thoughts, Burns?
Yeah, I like trying to mix it up with combat because with running from place to place in New World, you, as a light armor user, you have the dodge roll that you can do, and then also you can like try to go on a road that'll give you a speed buff. But it would be nice if there were, and I haven't done it with mounts yet. I'm pretty sure there is sprinting with your mount. Is that right?
I'm sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is nice because you're thinking about, hey, how can I maximize? What's the best route to take? And you're actually thinking, as opposed to just at launch when it was just W key the whole time and there was no content around you.
Yes.
I've got more on that for the next post. But yeah, what do you think, else?
I think the same thing, and I think this is I want to reiterate what Nice said. I think this is a very good comment to ask the question about, hey, a map this large. I looked at it as, hey, we have a map this large. Is there going to be fun stuff to do? And I'm working on a few other videos in the background that are non Ashes of Creation related, and I've been looking at other games, and oftentimes it applies. The reason I'm bringing it up is it applies to Ashes of Creation because it's a sandbox style game, and you look at one of my favorite games of all time is Oblivion, and Oblivion was a fantastic game because you would go and you'd get a fetch quest, and they would tell you like, hey, you got to go over here and you got to kill this giant or whatever. And so you go off to kill the giant, but on the way there'd be multiple delves, there'd be other things to pull your attention away, to where if you had any sort of inclination to wander off your path a little bit, you're then not stuck, but you're then enjoying like a 45-minute other side quests to go into this delve, to free these people, to do these sorts of things. And all of a sudden, by the time you completed the initial quest, an hour of fun gameplay has gone by, and you're like, where has it gone? Like what is happening? And it was great. And you look at Elden Ring, and Elden Ring's map is fantastic. It is so large, it is so extensive, but you never felt like, I'm bored traveling from place to place, because you never know when you're going to take an arrow to the face and just get one shot, And so the world was immersive for that reason. And I think regardless of how big like the Ashes of Creation map is and traveling's only going to be boring if the world is boring. Like you look at like what Burns here is saying about New World, like it's like they set up like this open world style survival PvP map, expecting like anything and everything to happen at any point in time, and then they just shut that off and nothing else existed. And so it was just boring. Like the worst part about grinding that game was auto traveling from place to place, like hitting the auto run and just waiting the 15 minutes to get to the new spot to do the new quests. And it was just so boring. There's no
filler space.
Yeah, there's nothing immersive about it at all. It was unenjoyable. So
okay. I think we are approaching our last topic of the night.
Okay.
I just pasted this one in the chat.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and pull that up on stream. All right. Gosh, Burns, just trim it down a little bit, dude. Like, gosh, where are we gonna put this guy?
I'm wide. I know. I'm too wide. Gotta start cutting.
it's those Christmas pounds, man.
Oh, dude.
No, man.
That's why bulk season extends beyond the holidays.
Laughable said, should auto run even exist in Ashes? Probably not, right? No, it definitely should. That's I think if you try to take away that convenience feature, I don't think no one's gonna be on your side.
I love auto run, man. It's so
I don't
nice.
care how hardcore someone is. Like, oh, things need to be difficult. I don't care how hardcore there is. I don't think no one's against auto run.
I agree.
You want me to read this one?
Trash bucket. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is a comment on Nice's recent video about Zergs. Huge map and lack of fast travel was tested out in New World. It was hated, and it was a primary reason people left. Fast travel could have a debuff associated with it, lasting double the time running there would take. This would allow both decisions to be viable while rewarding intended play. My understanding is that people felt like the fetch quests were made to go back and forth between the huge map just to add time played, but without adding enjoyable time played. Traveling has got to be a fun part of the game if they expect players to be doing it a lot. Don't know if Ashes will solve that. And I think that goes to what Els said so eloquently, that travel is fun if the world is fun. And in New World, content is king, and there was in New World was a popper, right? Like there was no the game dropped with 5 or 6 dungeons compared to World of Warcraft, which dropped with I think 14 dungeons and several raids, like a handful of raids. There's just nothing to do. The corruption, right? The corrupted breaches or whatever that they had to do. the content wasn't super rewarding, so there wasn't a ton of reason to go do it.
Yeah.
And then we get a full live stream from Ashes of Creation on the event system. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just traveling through an area. There is an event that pops up. It's like, oh, hey, I can do this on my way to go do what I was going to do otherwise. With New World, it was like, remember when Bilbo Baggins, he talks about that he feels old and that he's like butter spread across too much bread. Well, that's like the content in New World. It was too little content spread across spread across Eternum. The map wasn't even that big. I disagree with this guy. He's a huge map. No. New World is not a huge map. Like it does not take that long to get from one side to the other. But it was just so boring. There was nothing to do along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, Laughables just said something that was important. New World had no mounts back then either.
Yeah.
And
right.
didn't they have less fast travel points too? Like they tried that
right.
hardcore thing, and that's kind of where I want to go with this comment or comments. New World has since then, you got a fast travel point you don't go too far without running across a fast travel point. Like they've made the game opposite of from what I understand it launched as, and that there's a lot of convenience. You got your mounts now, you got your fast travel points now that are everywhere. It don't take you too long to get to where you need to go. Now, when you first start, it's annoying because you don't have those, but once you get those fast travel points, man, yeah, it's pretty simple, pretty easy. Yeah, I agree that Else kind of hit it on the head there that you need stuff to do. Like Burn said, you need those world events. You need those random pop-up things. When I first started Guild Wars 2, like I've said this before, that's like all I do in that game is the open world content. I love randomly going to a new area and it says new event in the area, and like, this random boss is just I gotta escort this random caravan, little stuff like that. I think makes the world feel good, and not having a bunch of empty space, pointless space is just also key.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Like ESO Cyrodiil has a lot of that, the PvP zone, and it's just like meh.
Nice. I know you're being serious right now, but knowing you and imagining you being the Overland PvE guy, like, come on, guys, let's go do this world event. Let's go kill this boss. It's freaking killing me right now.
I know.
Oh
I
my
know.
God. Oh, that's so
role
funny.
play on Guild Wars. Like it's like my little guild. It's like, because obviously I don't play with nobody.
Yeah.
It's just like I play like on weekends, like every other weekend maybe. And yeah, it's so weird, dude. You would not recognize me. Like, I'm on New World. I'm action combat guy. 1vx, kill these guys, and then I like it in Guild Wars 2. I'm in like this little tab/hybrid game.
All right, guys, what
like,
golem are we gonna kill today?
Just questing. That's why when Sawman did his review on Guild Wars 2, I was like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I love the overland and the quest, and like I don't know what it is. It's like a little it's a little guilty pleasure.
There's
there's
nothing wrong with that. It's just funny because it's like when a game does it well, you will play it. And
that's when I learned.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it's what we've talked about. We've talked about on this podcast a lot with Ashes of Creation. It's like, yeah, you might not like other PvX style games, but if it's done well, it may be something you really enjoy because it's the best of what it does. And Guild Wars 2 is a great example because there are no delves, like no good delves in New World where you go around and you're like, oh cool, I got this quest. But like you look at other games, like I brought up with Oblivion, like with Elden Ring, like there are games that have really good content just as like a side thing, like that they just throw in, and adding those things matter. It's showing the intricacy to the world and showing that you actually care about what's going, like you care about the player experience. And not every game does that right or well.
Yeah. You know, I love your observation there. I love that tie-in you just did, because you are totally right. Not until a game did it right, I didn't know that I could. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always liked PvE, but overland content, questing, you guys know that's not me. Guild Wars 2 made me realize, like, oh, I do like it. These other games just did it horribly.
Yeah.
Richie's in the building. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, we can start the podcast. Perfect.
Finally.
Nice. You brought up a good point about how there shouldn't be blank space. That is really immersion breaking when there's a bunch of blank space on a world map. Totally
Yes.
agree.
I hate it. I hate when games are big for just being big. You know what, else how you were talking about Elden Ring earlier, like how it's big, but you never know when you can take an arrow to the face. That is also a reason I like Elden Ring. There's just one area. Well, no, there's actually a couple areas of that map where there's no NPCs or enemies to fill the gap.
Yeah.
There's one specifically. It's Luarnia of the Lakes or something.
Yeah.
That one has a lot of enemies and a couple surprises, but there is so much like, okay, this is just padding out square kilometers for the devs to brag about how big the game is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're obviously not every, and I want to make sure I clear this up. Not every little inch needs to be content. Not every inch needs a fight. So you know, that's cool too.
But you need to have your side things, and like Burns, you brought up a great point earlier with New World having 6 dungeons and no trials, and comparing that to what World of Warcraft came out with. And that's the biggest problem with what New World has. It's not that the combat isn't in a good spot right now. It is. It's not that the combat isn't enjoyable from a PvE or PvP perspective. It is. The problem is you don't have enough replayability in the game. And so you have a bunch of people, like you see a bunch of content creators right now playing that game, and they've been playing since launch, and they're just like, I'm waiting for the next thing. I don't want to play right now. I've been playing the same stuff for 2 years now. I want the next thing. And that's the biggest issue I think that game experiences. And a sandbox style MMO doesn't have that same problem, because tying it back into ESO, one of the best parts about Cyrodiil is going over any hill, going around any corner, going into any keep a fight can drastically change on who you're fighting against, the amount of people, and what type of class they are. And the amount of replayability in Cyrodiil is immense because there's constant variables changing. And that will be like that on Ashes, but everywhere. It'll be everywhere. And that replayability will keep coming back.
Dude, that's the only reason I played New World, is because the replayability of the war system. If it weren't for that,
Sure.
I probably would have quit when my real life friends did at level 30. You know, just content is king, and that's that. There's no other way to describe that.
Yep.
And I always reference this, and I need to find the actual quote of what Steven said, but I just remember him saying something on the lines of like, they're trying to release with enough content to compete at day one, rather than build it up later. Like I say that a lot, but like, and that's something I feel is so smart, man, so smart. I wasn't streaming that day. I know what you're talking about, Lucy. But yeah, that's so important, and you guys are right. Like, content is. If you can have the best combat, but if people don't have nothing to do, it's just like, do I want to do this dungeon again? How many variables is it? Like, is it going to be harder this time? Is the boss going to have a new effect or skill? Probably not. And that's why PvP is my end game loop, is because, typically no 2 fights are the same. You never know when you're going to get like a 1v2 or outnumbered fight. You never know when a node siege is going to happen. You never know when you're going to happen to run across that guild that you're at war with, or where some guy's going to try to go corrupted on your ass. It's going to be so fun in AOC. And I did a video on this before, discussing player made content, and like, a lot of people, like, I think misunderstood that. I think people not familiar with Ashes, because I talked so much about political conflict and stuff, like things that the players are going to do to make their own content, which to me is amazing. And I think a lot of people took that as AOC won't have its own content and talk about how sandboxes don't work. I'm like, no, calm down. I didn't say it was only player-made content. There's going to be the plethora of dungeons and all that normal content, but so much of it, the players is what's going to keep it alive. The most fun and enjoyable and repeatable content is going to be that stems from player interactions.
100%. Yeah, and it's all intertwined with everything in the game, and that's the biggest thing. Is like, I mean, you guys maybe, sorry, I just blanked on the game, but like any type of sandbox game that exists, like you just see the replayability go through the roof. Whether it's Cyrodiil, what's the one? Why am I blanking on this? This is so annoying. They just came out with their trailer for the 6th one. Frick.
The 6th one?
Yeah.
Are you talking about MMO?
No, I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like so
Oh,
like
yeah.
the fifth one came out what 8-9 years ago, something like that.
Mhm.
People are still
Right.
playing it. People are still playing mods of it. People are still enjoying it. Why?
Yeah.
Because it has so much replayability because the player dynamic is constantly changing. And there's so much of that player dynamic of politics that are going to shift and change and adjust, and people there a lot of addicts will be formed off of this game, and I think so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I need to go ahead and schedule my rehab as soon as I get that 18 date.
Dude, I gotta schedule my PTO. A part of the reason why I took this job that I'm going to is because it's flexible PTO and it's a good amount of it.
Nice. Nice. This has been a great episode. Like
It's been a lot of fun, boys.
this has been fun. We covered a lot of good topics. This has been a long one. Sorry for taking up all your night. I'm scared to look at how long we've been going. I know it's over 2 hours. Let's see. We started around,
Only 2.5.
6:40ish.
Only
Oh, we
two
gotta
and a
be
half.
pushing 3. Oh, 2.5? Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh my.
That's still really good.
Yeah, I was expecting 4 hours, so this is good. This is good.
So on to the next topic. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, thank you. So we do have one more topic. PAX Day. We do have that one still left, but we won't go too much into it. But PAX Day, we will close out with this one, chat. I promise. You guys are not getting a full topic and discussion out of this. But PAX Day is releasing its Alpha 2 before Ash's Alpha 2, Q1 this year, spring, I think. They said. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like that's crazy? Do you feel like you don't expect much because they didn't even have combat together last time we got our hands on it? What are you expecting from it? Yeah. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that'll put the pressure on Ashes? I mean, they have their date already announced, but how do you think that's gonna, I guess, relate to Ashes?
So, dude, unfortunately, with the questions they were asking about their monetization, it has lowered my expectations with PAX Day so much that I'm probably not gonna do much with it. If I get a whiff of pay to win, then I'm like, oh hey, that is on their horizon. If that's even a consideration, I mean, say what you will about New World and lack of content and all the problems that it had, it's not pay to win, and they didn't even get close to that.
Yeah.
And if there is pay to win, I mean, the most immersion breaking stuff possible. And so I think they're going to try to pilot fish along with Ashes of Creation, trying to follow in the wake of doing open development and having these open testing periods. But I think it's not going to be as impactful, largely because they're trying to target a Western audience, and Western audiences are not down with pay to win at all.
Good analogy, by the way.
I appreciate it.
The wild token thing kind of got me like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny because this is something we've okay, we're not getting a full topic of discussion. I'm just saying, I have a list of things that like red flags in my head when it comes to MMOs, and the entire discussion on monetization definitely raised one for PAX Day. I'm not saying it's a scam. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game, but it was like, hey, like I have a little bit less interest in this right now. Like I'll still pay attention to it. Like we're waiting for Alpha 2 for the other one, but I just expect, because all that the first Alpha was building houses, I have such low expectations for what Alpha 2 will be covering. I think the scope is going to be very specific. And
Agreed.
And then reading what they said further, they were talking about paid early access. And it's like, you don't even have like a fleshed out full like beginner play loop of anything that you've shown so far. And so the fact that you're bringing up this before anybody sees any of the other things, it's raising another flag in my head. And so I'm holding out hope that the game is successful. I'm holding out hope that there's going to be another successful MMO in the space, but I have questions. And so I'm definitely going to try it. I'm definitely going to keep an open mind, but same thing Burns said. The minute I see another one of those things pop up, I'm probably just going to be not interested in the game until it goes live. And so, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat that you guys are in. I'm just kind of weary. I'm actually less hype about it since their recent announcements, which is I'm still interested. I still think it's the only MMO that shows promise to me besides Ashes, and I'm not putting it on Ashes level of promise or expectations because yeah, nothing's even remotely close there. But PAX was that other one I was looking at. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will try Dawn of Liberty and use it as a waiting room just to buy time. If Dawn of Liberty can get here soon enough before Alpha 2, that'll be something. But yeah, I'm not super paranoid on PAX. I don't think it's a Quinfall situation.
No.
But yeah, I'm just like now I'm just kind of sitting back. Like I'm not super hype. I'm just kind of sitting back, like, all right, and keep an eye on that. But yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is it's always going to be in the back of my mind. Let's say they're like, "Hey, we're sorry guys. We really misspoke. That was, you know, the marketing intern who got a hold of the social media." The problem is if you know, like if you're married and your spouse brings up, I don't know, something wild like, "Hey, let's you know, try to have an open relationship." And then they say the next week, "Oh no, so that was just a joke. I wasn't serious about it." That still raises
put
a
the
lot
other
of
girl on
eyebrows.
a leash.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, wait, no. You brought that up for a specific reason. There's something to this. So
Yeah.
I'm very. I was just, I wasn't mad. I was disappointed when they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dawn of Liberty will be a time killer, too much pay to win, decent rating room, Alpha 2, not holding your breath. Yeah, I think that's all it is. Just because it's a new MMO, even though it's not Unreal Engine 5, it'll be a decent modern MMO to kill some time. While it hasn't released in the West, I think that's mainly because they didn't want to do a global release. They handed it off to AGS, the same developers for New World, to develop for the West. And what AGS is going to step in and try to do is cut down on that pay to win that we're seeing in the Eastern release as it currently is. So what their goal is to obviously localize the game and also like make it so that it's more well received before we get our hands on it. And yeah, translation and little stuff like that just to get it polished for us. You heard the combat was 4 out of 10. It's improved since when I had my hands on it, is what I can say. Them adding that action camera was big for me. You're no longer stagnant while moving, depending on the ability, which is okay. And yeah, I don't think it looks. I don't know. The more and more I look into Ashes, I think I've seen some people really like going hard on their combat, but what their plans for combat has me hype, especially at the last time I did an Ashes stream where I realized that they're doing the true hitbox kind of system that New World does, where your melee is like splash damage, like it's a AOE for your basic attacks and stuff like that. It has me it just gives me a little bit more promise. From a personal POV, I was never attracted to Eastern MMOs. Too much emphasis on visuals and fast action combat to your taste. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first in these. I never seen a game use that system. Like it worked in New World, and it makes sense because of it being action combat, like a pure action combat. But seeing it in action, seeing it in Ashes, that action portion, that's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to get some good combat. I'm not saying we're going to get our hands on Alpha 2 and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the best. But I think where we end up, and this is just a lot of optimism and copium, yeah, but I think where we end up just from knowing what they want to do is what I'm basing this off of. I think and how quick they made some changes in Alpha 1, like that split body movement and stuff like that. I think we're in good hands. Yeah, and yes, Fyro, thank you. The PvP stream will say /show a lot of direction. Yes. Indeed.
Yeah, we're breaking that one down pretty in depth, guys. Like the
Yeah.
the PvP live stream, we're yeah, it's gonna be something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone
that'd be
suggested last stream, I think, that we get the little John Madden or the
I said
NFL
that,
like
yeah.
things historical. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that.
great.
That sounds fun. That one's gonna be one, I think, for probably 2 whole episodes for the most part. We're not even gonna discuss Reddit posts or anything like that. It's literally gonna be breaking down that stream piece by piece. And of course, I mean, there's enough community feedback, but yeah. Football, welcome on in. Man, this is the stream. This is the stream. This is the stream that's gonna answer a lot of questions, give us a lot of insight of progress. We're gonna see well, never mind. I don't know anything. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But we're gonna see some good stuff, and I think you guys can expect to see some good things in the coming months as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just keep your yeah yeah viral. There's some stuff like that. But yeah, I think a lot of our expectations are gonna be met. I think a lot of things will be ramping up as we get closer and closer towards Alpha 2. I think I don't think we're gonna have like the UI stream last year. That was the most filler stream of filler streams. I don't think we're gonna get any more of those. But yeah, you have a lot of questions about this game. What is AOC again? Actually, here I can pull it up. I summarized it earlier. I had a buddy of mine summarize AOC. You don't gotta. I know people get pressured. You don't want to read the whole wiki. I can actually give you a good summary of AOC. 1 second. Here we go. If you're new to Ashes of Creation, and by the way, welcome to the fandom of Ashes of Creation. I will go ahead and show you everything that you need to know. That way you don't have to sit through my long videos and 2-3 hour podcasts here. Let's get that. There you go. That will tell you everything you need to know about AOC. And if you have any further questions, just let me know. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you need to know more than this, then I mean, I think we got it all covered there, though.
Albrecht Dürer says it best.
He said it best, man. He taught me something today. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Goodness.
Yeah, tax shelter in California too. Give me a break. Do it
Yeah.
in Puerto Rico.
Yes, very informative. Very informative.
Just look it up. Look it up if you have doubts.
Yeah, if you don't understand if you don't understand what he means, then just look it up, bro. Just look it up. This guy can't be real. I hope he responds to my comment. Anyways, this has been a long one. This has been a great one. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to Ashes of Relation for being a guest this week. If you guys want to see more Ashes of Relation on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to him and comment on all his videos. Like, this is a cool video and all, but when are you gonna be back on the Voices of Era? That's how you get him back here. But yeah, he's tagged in the title. Make sure you subscribe to him. And Is There No One Else? We do this every Tuesday. We appreciate you guys being here. We cannot do this without you, the Voices of Vera, as always. So we appreciate you guys.
Hey, can I give a shout out real quick? So
Yes.
Nice and Else are fantastic people. Not just great creators, but fantastic people. I mean, I had created my YouTube channel. I hardly had any subscribers. I hardly had any views, and they were pumping me up, just positive about everything. Watched one of my videos on stream here. I think they personify how special the Ashes of Creation community is. So I'm grateful for you guys, not only having me on today, which has been a blast, but also the support as my channel is growing, and so it's been fantastic, and I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, man. Well deserved. Well deserved.
I'm not wiping tears.
You make it easy.
I'm not wiping tears. I'm good. In all seriousness, man, thank you. Yeah, like we really try to speak the game we want everybody else to be like.
Yes.
It's a community, and so we want to lift people up. So,
well, you lead by example, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
Yes. Like, and that's one thing I've liked about AOC. Granted, I haven't been a part of a community with a game that's not live before, but I've never seen a community like as together. And when I say community, I mean community and from a content creator perspective as well. Like content creators just like working together, like no big drama, beef constantly. Everyone's just awesome. Like we're all just one community, one family. It's just like it's just good. Steven says, you both make great content, by the way. Ashes of Relation and Nice Game, each with your totally different style. Thank you. It's copium in our veins, yes. All right, we're gonna finally end it there. No. At this point, we might as well make it 3 hours. Where are we at now?
We're almost there.
Might as well. No,
13 minutes.
13 minutes. All right, you guys. I'm gonna leave the stream open until the 13-minute mark. I'll be back. I'm gonna go get some food and whatnot. But thank you guys so much. I want to say this is one of our most viewed live episodes. Hold on, how many people oh, speaking of Twitch, we have 12 on Twitch, which is awesome for us to just
I think
start.
it definitely was. I think this is our most viewed so far. We'll have to see.
Yep.
The Ranger one was pretty big too, but
oh yeah, true. Yeah. This one we had 50 on YouTube just on my end, and then we got 12 on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, I need to see who we're gonna raid. Is anybody else streaming Ashes right now? Oh, is there no one else, guy?
I'll take a peek here. I have nobody. I have nobody else.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I actually did not catch that immediately.
Yeah, there's nobody else streaming Ashes right now. Vladis, wink, 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 Vladis.
I know, right? Why is Vladis not live?
Come on, Vladis. Just because you have a kid doesn't mean you have to hold out for us. So
yeah, excuses.
That's ridiculous.
Excuses. Bard hype, yes.
Yeah, Bard video.
Bard leaks?
I'm working. My Bard video should be out this week. I can't wait for that one.
Wait, are y'all talking about recent leaks that I didn't talk about, like here, or what we talking about? Steven says discovered Nice a few days ago and Ashes a week before. That's awesome. Welcome, dude. We're so glad to have you here. But yeah, El still has his homework. Steven brought up stuff about Bard. Bro, come on. Someone tell Steven to get in stream. Someone at Steven. tell him to get in here and explain this Bard stuff. Let me. Great. Now I gotta pull this up. Let's see.
Did he talk today?
Yeah.
I guess that's what they mean. From user Steven. I think I have it right here. No results found. What the hell? Maybe that is wrong. He said something today, y'all. Yeah, I missed the Bard stuff. Wait. Are y'all serious?
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
I didn't see this. How do I suck at Discord from the computer, man. I really do. Here, actually.
I don't believe you guys. I don't believe that he came out.
Am I being trolled? Are you guys just trying to stretch this for the 3-hour mark? I don't even know how to search on Discord. I suck. The old one was so much better. It made it a lot.
If you have
simpler.
OBS up, it kind of screws
from
it
user. I found it. Okay, Steven. There he is.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Oh, yep. Else you got to re-edit your video.
Oh boy.
He said the Bard is looking mighty fine. Here, let me jump to the message. He said the Bard is looking mighty fine. So that's crazy. So the Summoner and Bard were the things we expected like last, and he's made comments saying, "Oh, Summoners might be ready." And now he's talking about how the Bard's looking good. It seems like the team is like ramping things up. Yeah, Warrior, they just told us. Like that's interesting. I need to see these. Proximity based. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I see the original message he's responding to. He said, "Give us a hint of their mechanics." Steven says, "Proximity based skill combination melodies." Yeah. Through dance, song, and story, hard utility and support, you will see in the future shaping up nicely. Pretty much stuff that you expect from a Bard. Yep. But the fact that he said skill combination melodies is very interesting. Whenever I think of Bard, I always think of Monster Hunter's Warhorn, I think it was called. That's what I always think about. I know that's not like an MMO. I know that's not like a normal cliche Bard, but that's what always comes to mind when I hear that stuff like that.
Viral over here says,
the win.
Viral over here says sounds like minstrel. Yes, which will be in my video. Yeah. Luckily he's mentioned that before, so I don't have to edit a bunch of other things. I'm just cleaning things
Yeah.
up. I was gonna post it today, and then I saw the content we had, and I was like, I'm gonna save the Bard video till after what we talk about today. So,
Yeah.
dude, I'm just saying, like, the Bard might be the outside. It's either Bard or it's Summoner, but those two are probably the coolest archetypes as far as uniqueness that they're going for in
Yeah.
the entire game. And
Right.
I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it more. So
We are each live on both platforms, mate. He also says, good support / utility addresses problems in ways other archetypes cannot, and provide augmented performance for the entire party that outweighs the alternative of another DPS. I like that. So it's like, yeah, you can just add another DPS and think you get more damage, but you actually get more DPS on a boss because of the buffs that he brings, which that's common sense, something you would expect and hope.
yeah,
That's really cool to hear.
And
I
dude, that
should-
makes sense of the bigger group sizes, right? Because
yeah,
if you have 1/8 of your group that they're affecting 7 people, as opposed to a group size of 5, which only affects 4 other people. So yeah,
Yes.
okay, that's cool.
yeah, it's interesting because we talked about this earlier on the live stream, but Steven has a lot of D&D background and everything.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest classes you can play in Baldur's Gate 3 is actually the Bard. And what the Bard is it's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Like, you can literally do anything on a Bard, but it also augments, it's a different type of game, but it augments your player abilities, your melee, your ranged attacks. Like, you can do those sorts of things. You can also add extra rest time. That won't exist in Ashes, but it basically provides a metric F ton of utility that no other class can provide. And when you look at what Ashes of Creation's doing, where they're like, this is a group-based game, it's going to be one of those modifiers on the battlefield that's extremely valuable. And the fact that it's like, the fact that it can potentially be a melee Bard or a healing based Bard or a tank based Bard or like it, what he said when he says proximity, he's mentioned in other videos or other live streams, where if your character is at the front lines and he's attacking and he produces a song while he's attacking with a sword, it may inspire other melee users to do more critical strike damage, as an example. And so those sorts of things are interesting, because when you look at an overall battlefield, you're going to have your frontline players, you're going to have your backline players, and where the Bard is stationed and where he's inspiring people with his song is going to play a big aspect on like what type of utility they're providing. So it's almost like a center fielder or midfielder, like in soccer or European football or something like, something along those lines, where you can play offense or defense. You can provide those sorts of utility. And it sounds so good, man. Like you look at it and you're like, this played at the highest level could amplify my group more than potentially anything else. And so it's cool.
Ellis, you get me excited for your video.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking,
sure.
I'm saying this now because I'm setting myself up for failure, but Ashes of Relations, like, editing quality has inspired me to try to make better quality videos. So I'm working on making this a lot better, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because it's a unique thing that only a few other games have tried to do well. And the last thing I will say, sorry, because it's exciting, but the reason the Bard in Baldur's Gate is so powerful is they're channeling the word of creation. And doesn't that sound so much cooler than just like, I sing songs?
Yeah.
Like, I sing songs and empower people. Like, you actually have a power and you're channeling the voice of creation, and through that channel you're actually creating power. And so I thought that was super interesting.
Royer, thank you for sending me a better image of this message. Steven had said something pretty much leaning towards class identity, but that if I bring up the subject matter that just came to my head, we are not leaving, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But yeah, if you guys weren't able to see on my screen, there's a bigger version of that main one. Let's see. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it there, chat. Surely we didn't hit the 3-hour mark.
I was trying.
But man, yeah, I'll try time stamping this, but that's gonna be that's gonna be a task. I think I'm just gonna have to skip through and look when my background changes, and that's gonna tell me like when we kind of switch subjects or something. But that's the best you're gonna get from me. Once again, make sure you guys subscribe to Ashes of Relation. Make sure you catch up on any videos you miss, and definitely check out the botting video that we were discussing at the beginning of this episode. This has been a great episode. We could not do this without you, the voices of Vera. Thank you guys so much, and we're gonna call it there.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
See ya.
See ya.